Hello everyone, hi! Hello, I am Trooper SJP and this is the Academic Foxhole.
Hello everyone, hi!
Ooh, and I'm not
Hello,
muted up there, hold
I
on.
am Trooper SJP,
There's too much.
and this
Where's my...
is
Wait!
the Academic Foxhole.
Hello everyone, hi!
Ooh, and I'm not
Hello,
muted up there, hold
I am
on.
Trooper SJP,
There's too much.
and this
Where's my...
is
Wait!
the Academic Foxhole. Ooh, and I'm not muted up there, hold on. There's too much. Where's my... Wait, Academic Foxhole. Okay. Now we're good. What happened was that we were in an endless loop, and sometimes my cursor cannot be found. Like, sometimes I lose my cursor forever. This does not ever correlate to our enjoyment of teasing Trooper. Hello, I know Interkey. The Echo. Whoosh. Hey everyone, how are you doing? What is going on? It is, as you can see, the sun is streaming in, bright and sunny. The beautiful academic rambling is my favorite part of the stream. I enjoy it. I'm a little red-faced because this weather is not making me happy. I'm not yet used to it. I went and right before the stream started, I went and I shaved, not my head, but my face with my straight razor. Half hours did you catch Super on Praxis? Oh, it was 8 hours of Talk with Prax, and it was so good, and it went by so fast. I was like, oh, it's been 8 hours. What? It was 36 hours. Yeah, we were on for 8 hours, but okay. So here's the thing: if you do not shave with a straight razor, I'm going to tell you something about shaving with a straight razor. Shaving with a straight razor is not difficult. And there are things about shaving with a straight razor that's actually easier than shaving with a safety razor or a disposable safety razor. Specifically, with a straight razor, since you have that specific one edge, you can get little details. Like, I actually shave right in between here to separate the two halves of my mustache. So I always shave just like right in there. And I also shave the upper half of my mustache as well. So it's like, so I get like a little kind of an L shape. It's a little Ronald Coleman. Anyway, the point is that like you can get this little really precise line work done when you have a straight safety razor, a straight razor, pardon me. And when I was rocking like wild sideburns, I could do really sort of detailed sideburn work as well with a straight razor. Oh, hey, Cher. And like I can get like good news. I got an incredible screenshot of Trooper. Nice. Oh, practice so good. Bad news, audio only apparently, since my Twitch is being wonky. Oh no, I do not currently have drop streams. Everybody, just by the way, just let's pay attention to my internet. I had an internet person come in. The internet people came in on Monday to sort of fix my cable, and I want to make sure that when they fix the cable, they didn't ruin the internet. So like I like to do like little precision things, but here's the thing about shaving with a straight razor. It's not that hard, but you don't want to be rushed when you do it. That's not great usually if you're being rushed. Also, hey Beartor, you don't want to be rushed when your straight razor is also a little dull, because when it's a little dull, you have to like press a little bit harder to shave. And also, here's what it is. Sometimes it catches. Like sometimes it just catches a little bit. And when you're shaving with a straight razor, I'm feeling generous. I have a job interview tomorrow and I have a good feeling about it. Ooh, Drunken Scout. Ooh, I'm pressing my thumbs for you, as they say in Germany, or I'm crossing my fingers for you.
Name game.
Ooh, the name game. The name game. Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F, or an M will appear. And then I say bo out of B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. And then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Javai, 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 boba vai, banana, fanner, fo, fa, vi, fee, fi, mo, ma, vi. Javai. Ooh, thank you for that gift sub. Yeah. I have a shave head. It's like a straight razor, but with a replace. Yeah. Well, okay. So that thing you like, I actually have both. I have a straight razor with disposable blades, and I have a regular straight razor. But my regular straight razor, the blade is too dull right now, and I need to get it honed. But here's the thing about it. One, I don't want to hone it myself because I've never honed a straight razor before, and it's actually different than honing a knife. And you need to do it kind of special, and I don't want to ruin the straight razor while I'm practicing. So what I think I'll probably do is I've got to find I think there's a person online who will hone your straight razors for you. You just have to mail it to him, and then he'll hone it and mail it back. So I need to get my actual straight razor honed while I am, but in the meantime, I'm using this one with disposable blades. And oh, good, yes, please join us up. Please let us know how your job interview went. And I have a thought for you. But the one with the disposable blades is actually fine. But the thing is, when you're shaving with a straight razor, there's a moment when you're shaving with a straight razor when you know you cut yourself. It's a really interesting moment. It's not that like you feel it and it hurts. It's not that. It's just usually like you're like doing a thing and something like the blade just catches maybe on like a hair and it skips, and there's just this little moment of like a skip, and you're like, oh, I cut myself. And I actually cut myself right up here today because I was like just shaving up there, and there was just a little bit of a skip, and that skip happens, and you're like, I just cut myself shaving. I don't feel it, but give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna start bleeding, and then I did. That's what happened. Buy a cheap straight razor and yeah. That's what I think. Actually, that thing you like. What I think I want to do is like buy a really because I have a strop, but the strop is only good. Like this one needs like a really good rehoning because I usually strop it to keep it up in shape, but after a while, it needs a little redo. So or like a second strop with that you would put like kind of a coarse paste on. So if there are a couple things to do, and I would want to, I'd want a super cheap straight razor that I could practice on, so I could practice getting it right. Yeah, Scabbynack knows it. The resistance changes, like there's just a moment where the resistance changes, and you're like, that's the cut right there. There it is. And it's not like it hurts. You just know it. You just know it. That's how it feels when you cut yourself with a safety razor too. I suppose so. I suppose I just don't cut myself with a safety razor as much. Gotta love that salt stuff to stop the. Oh yeah. The what do we call it? It's
Name game.
It's what's the name of it? It's a thing. The name game. Come on, everybody. I said now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name. I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F. Or an M will appear. And then I say bow out of B. Then I say the name. Then banana, fan, or info. Then I say the name again with an F, very plain. Then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time. And there isn't any name that I can rhyme. Oh Diaz, boba Diaz, banana, fana, fofa Diaz, fee, fi, moma Diaz. Oh Diaz. Woo, thank you for that sub. And oh Diaz is bleeding, a sign of transformative change. And also, oh, well, that was unfortunate. Yes, that is true. What do they call it? It's allium. Yes, that's what it is. Yeah, it's like that. It's alum. Yes. You probably don't. The whole safety part is supposed to cut down on cutting yourself. Yeah. I think it's alum. So did you know that Twitch Prime actually lasts for 35 days? Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. So if it's a good straight razor, the difference of the heel to the blade is the angle the blade should be at, yeah. So if you keep the heel and blade pressed against the stone, you should keep... Oh. If you keep the heel and blade pressed against the stone, you should keep the correct angle. Ooh, Jer. Thank you. I'm gonna see if I can find like a really cheap straight, get like a good stone, and then practice a good like straight razor whetstone, and then practice it. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. It's something more than a money because my renewal date here keeps getting pushed forward. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. Someone asked me to do a proper stat block of a creature that I homebrewed, and I finished it. This is Atomica. But everything has been so hectic I forgot who asked for it or which Trish community they were in. My brain is fried. Oh, I do know that. Hey, do you remember something? By the way, there's a thing I want to talk about today, but as we're playing, I want to talk about a thing we were talking about on in the Discord. We have a Discord. You should join us if you like. It's really excellent. But the thing I wanted to talk about, here, this is our Discord. But really quick first thing. Does anybody remember there was a Saturday Night Live? You know how Saturday Night Live does those fake commercials? There was a Saturday Night Live fake commercial that was the Discord is fine, I guess. It sounds like it's tied to their billing cycle. Oh yeah, maybe. So it was a fake commercial making fun of safety razors, the trend of safety razors to add more blades. So I remember this came out, this fake ad happened, I think, when they started adding 2 blades or 3 blades to the safety razor. It might have been like 2. It might have been 2. And it was like, and so like, I think, Bick had come out with they're 2 blades. And they were like, ooh, 2 blades. And this ad was like, you thought 2 blades was good. How about 4? How about 5? And like the point was it was supposed to be ridiculous that you'd have 4 blades on your safety razor, and now we have 4 blades in our safety razor. Just, like that's all. Like, and I just think that's kind of funny that this thing was that was supposed to be this massive joke is now just true. That's a thing that I was thinking about. By the way, our giveaway for today is Okami, so I just want you to know it. I shave with the 5 blades. Yeah, this is what I mean. Like, and that was the thing they were making fun of in the Saturday Night Live sketch. But, it's real. Like the mock. Yes. That was the Mach 20 commercial. There's a whole thing about it, and it made me laugh. It made me laugh. So our giveaway for today is the adventure game Okami. We'll give that away, like halfway through. We're playing Wandersong, which was one of the nominees for Excellence in Narrative. And that commercial, Saturday Night Live has had some really great fake commercials that I have loved. One thing they do quite well, I think, sometimes are fake commercials. I'm going to be hosting Critical Role tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern. If you want to watch Critical Role but hang out in a chat that is not full of 50,000 people, you can hang out with us. I was happy with 3, but the handle kind of sucked. My dad used to use one of the non-disposable safety razors, where you'd have the screw in the bottom would open up the little flaps, and then you'd take the razor, you put the razor in and then close it and the flaps would go, and it would give you like a little razor blade on either side. My dad used one of those. Also, to let you know what I'm doing this week, Saturday at noon, I'll be playing The Outer Worlds, and Sunday at 8 p.m., I believe it is, I will be guesting in Ghosts of Saltmaw over on Other Doc's channel. I'll be reprising my role of Oceanus, a Nautilid who's young. I don't think I actually caught SNL in like a decade. I catch occasional skits on YouTube. Yeah. Tangent number 9. Is it I feel like it's not a tangent yet. It might be. I feel like it can't be a tangent yet until we're on the topic. I don't know. Maybe. I'm just telling myself that. That's what I'm gonna tell myself. One of my favorite Saturday Night Live fake commercials was from the 80s or 1990. It was from that time period. Hey, Rissa. And it was, it's never a tangent. It's like one of those French roundabouts with 7 lanes. Yeah. Tangent number 9 is the 4th diversion since Mambo number 5. A little bit of tangent over here. Another something topic in my ear. Like that. We're swerving lane to lane constantly. Okay, but look, do you remember this ad? So, Obsession by Calvin Klein, those commercials, that perfume came out with this bunch of commercials in the 80s. Is SNL not funny more, or do we have no attention span anymore? I think SNL has always been hit and miss. I think that they've always just been a little hit and miss. Like, even back in the day, they had some clunkers. And I think that it's one of those things where you kind of remember the good skits, but you forget that quite a few of them just don't know when to end or get old. Some of the, yes, Half-Osh is correct. Some of them stick, but around, but most really don't. Yeah, skids. The last skit that made me really laugh was their commercial for the Rosetta Stone. I don't think I saw that one. But the Obsession one was, if you remember the Obsession ads, it was like, the ad campaign was like quite new and bold because it was all in black and white. Except for Obsession was in color, the actual perfume bottle. And it was always this like weird, like the ads were weird. It was super kind of like what Americans think Euro arty is. And it was like people were like, you know, she was beautiful, but I could never love her. And there was like a woman dancing in the background. And then it was like, just this like weird, like running through a hallway, and there's like curtains and it's in black and white. And then she's like, oh, je t'aime. And it's like, who was she? It was like this like obsession. Like those ads were super, super weird. They were very weird, very weird. And SNL has a lot of skits that went too long. Yeah, I think they had a hard time ending their skits. And let's face it, it's hard to be funny. The world is on fire. Chevy Chase did a dozen skits as Stumbly Gerald Ford, which was about 11 too many. Krellin, yes. Hey PH, the Super Happy Fun Ball was good. It gets inappropriate, but I found it funny. Yes. Oh, but so people don't like Chevy Chase. Apparently he's not nice to people, is apparently it as a, what do you call it? A understatement. So the ad, Compulsion, was this like, I remember like, it's like, you know, she wasn't, and everyone's like, all the dudes are wearing like black turtlenecks, right? And I think Jan Hooks was in it, and it's like, she was an incandescent angel dancing on the edge in the line between madness and beauty. And like, you see her and she's like cleaning, and it's like at this dinner party, but like everything is white and everybody's wearing black. And this one woman like knocks over a glass of red wine, and she's like, and then like she's down and she's like trying to scrub this red wine that fell on the white carpet, and Nora Dunn turns to her and is like, a little club soda will get that out. And then she turns dramatically to the camera. She's like, liar. And it's like, somewhere between like cleanliness and madness lies compulsion. And it was just like, it was just a really good mockery of that like hyper arty ad campaign, and it was so good. Should I put Tripper to work after this story? Maybe. I don't know. Look, here's the thing I wanted to talk to you about. I wanted to talk to you about something. Side note. I think I should put this on Twitter. This one thing I wanted to tell you all. People, do you know what I was just thinking about? Somebody reminded me of this thing. Who reminded me? Who reminded me of this? Who reminded me of this? Oh my goodness, I was talking to somebody about how perfumes are all over the top performative arts. Yes. So somebody reminded me of this thing, and I was like, oh, that's true. And I'm gonna tell you something that's really interesting. I don't know how many people we have who are super young in our chat right now, and I mean, or average age and not super old, however you wanna frame it. But I remembered a thing from my childhood that I think people today would freak out about if they knew. Atomica says, a guy is walking through a subway and you hear a guitar music in the background, bad guitar. The guy finally walks near the musician and the music is bad, but he pulls out a handful of coins and looks at them. He puts them back, keeps digging, then pulls out, Drunken Scout, thank you. I'm gonna finish this comment though. And then pulls out a rock and throws it, knocking the guitarist out. And then the screen goes black with the music school's name. The guy says, if you're gonna play, learn how. That's amazing. Wolf is like, just one thing? Oh no, there's more. Okay. Drunken Scout. The name game. Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name. I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F. Or an M will appear. And then I say bo out of B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. And then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. That thing you like, that thing you like, bo, that thing you like, banana, fanner, foe, that thing you like, fee, fi, mo, that thing you like. That thing you like, Wolfink, bo, bullfink, banana, fano, full think, fee, fi, mo, think. Wolfing. It's more like, oh, that's probably more like Wolfen CG though, like the movie Wolfen, but you have it with a U rather than an O. So I'm gonna go Wolfen, Bolfen, Banana, Fana, Fulfen, FIFA, Momolfen. Wolfen. The powers that be. The powers that be. Ooh. Rhythm is weird. The powers that be. The powers that be. Powers that be. I'm gonna drop the. The powers that be. Powers that be. Powers that be. Bo Bowers Mat be. Banana Fana Fo Flowers Mat be. Fee Fi Mo Mowers Mat be. Powers Mat be. Roll damage. Roll damage. Roll damage. Roll damage. Banana Fana Fo full damage. Fee Fi Mo damage. Roll damage. Wait. Ava Lee Starastev. 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 Bo Ava Lee Starastev. Banana Fenofil Ava Lee Starastev. Fee Fi Mo Ava Lee Starastev. Ava Lee Starastev. Also, hi Crit Witch. Yes. Yes. Ah, I got it. Thank you for all those gift subs, Drunken Scout. Also, I wanted to tell you something. Oh yeah, no, I had to get in there. I was like, you got to get the. I find, hey Sea Spider, I find actually with the name game, it's the rhythm of the name. If you can get the rhythm of the name down, so that you can say it in a rhythm, then you got it. But there's like a rhythm to it that you have to get. So sometimes shorter names are harder than longer names if the rhythm is weird. This is what I've learned, which is weird. It's a town in Germany, but I heard of it from Games Workshop. CG's card game? Collectible game? Drunken Scout, I have something to tell you. I have something to tell you, but I'm going to tell you after I tell this other thing. Don't let me forget. The rhythm of the name. Oh, yeah. It's the rhythm of the name. Oh, yeah. The rhythm of the name. Okay. People who are old enough to remember, you will remember. People who are not old enough to remember, you may be scandalized. Do you know what we had as kids growing up? As candy that we as kids would eat? Christian Goth. Oh, cool. Wolfen CG. That now okay, hold on. Wolfen CG. Wolfen Christian Goth sounds like a metal band. Like a Scandinavian metal band? That's cool. I'm into it. Okay, so what we had as candy growing up as kids, and I'm just going to put it out there, and I'm going to tweet this because I feel like people need to know it. Yes, Rissa, we had fake cigarettes. Yep. We had two different types of fake cigarettes, as a matter of fact. Maybe three, but I can think of two different ones. I can think of the ones that were white, that were basically like a candy. They were like white with like a little fake red food coloring at the end. Yeah, they have with the sugar ones, and then we had the bubblegum ones. Yes, that is exactly right. That's really right. And then we had the paper and gum one was so cool because the paper and gum one had some kind of powder. So if you blew on your fake cigarette, it would put out like a puff of fake smoke. Yes, the paper and powder ones were the coolest because you would puff out fake smoke. Wait, you saw fake cigs in a store for the first time? Are they still selling them? Yeah, I don't know if I call them candy. They're more like sweet and chalk. Okay, Levi, this is also fair. The ones that were okay, yeah. I mean, that is fair, Scabby Dack. That is fair. That's fair. When the good ones had just enough sugar at the end that you could blow them once you get a little puffs. Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, chocolate ones. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so hey, Origami Shuriken, we're talking about the fact that as children, fake cigarettes, fake candy cigarettes were a thing that we had, and the powder ones were really good. And I just was thinking about, like, I can't imagine what people who are too young to remember that we had them. Yeah, I remember the white bubblegum type ones. There's a white candy one that was super chalky and not particularly good. Yeah, and so I just sort of wonder, what would people, like, what do you think people today who do not remember that we had that would think if they knew that, like, we as kids were just, like, running around with our fake candy cigarettes all the time? I feel like, because we're in a really anti-smoking place nowadays, which is fine because smoking is bad for you. But I just remember as kids, we had these fake cigarettes. Like it was just a thing. It was like they were cool, you know? I just feel like people would be a little scandalized by that. I remember the chocolate cigarettes when I was a kid, and bubblegum ones, I think. Also licorice pipes. Oh yeah, with off-brand packaging. Yes, and they kind of looked a little bit like fake Lucky Strikes, maybe. Oh, cap guns. Yes. Oh my gosh, I loved cap guns. Cap guns were the best. I remember the AK-47 Uzi water pistols. I do, and they all looked realistic. They stopped doing that. They thought that would that would be a bad idea. I love seeing the long roll of caps on fire. Yes. Do you remember when? I remember when you'd have your cap gun, but then your cap gun would basically with the roll, like the roll of the. Do they sell cap guns? Oh, you had the Uzi core. Oh, cap gun tannerite smells nostalgia. Yes. Oh my gosh, I remember that cap gun smell. And you know when you can still get cap guns with the roll of the red roll of like red paper that had the little cap moments, the little gunpowder, and you'd click your gun and like it would do the thing. But every once in a while, oh, just not at toy stores. Oh, that's interesting. Smoking is bad, I agree, but there is little as relaxing as a good scotch with a good cigar. I'm not a cigar person. I have tried, because I was in the Army, every tobacco product. Like I've tried cigarettes, I didn't like them. So partly because I'm a super taster. I didn't like cigarettes, I didn't like cigarillos, I didn't like cigars. I love the smell of pipes, but then they didn't taste good. I've tried dipping tobacco, but that was way too much. I was like, oh, dipping tobacco is super intense, and it made me dizzy. But chewing tobacco, there was a chewing tobacco called Lancaster, which was steeped in honey, and it was a chewing tobacco, not a dipping tobacco, and that was pretty good. But I also thought I also did not enjoy. While it actually tasted pretty decent, Lancaster chewing tobacco, I didn't enjoy that when you've got chewing tobacco in, you just got this chewing tobacco and then you got to spit into the can. I was in the Army, and you can't swallow, then my throat would dry out, but I've got this chew in the side of my mouth. It just seemed like a lot of hassle is what happened. And then I tried snuff, and I didn't like that either. I didn't like it either. I had a cigar today a little too soon after dinner and didn't drink enough water, and I got all head heavy. Story, my dad had one of my cap guns that looked like a semi-automatic pistol. We were camping and dad set it on the hood of the car with some other stuff, and the park ranger came by and asked why we had a gun. Yeah, nicotine is pretty wild. I love the smell of clove cigarettes or pipe smoke. I just can't myself to smoke it though, yeah. If you don't use nicotine and then smoke a cigar or whatever, you will get a heck of a buzz. And the thing what's interesting is I find that dipping tobacco was the most intense buzz. I mean, I don't smoke generally, but dipping tobacco is so fun, you put it right here in the front that it just goes right in your system, and it was a little bit too much. I got dizzy, I had to sit down. It was a little bit too much. Yes. I prefer pipes, but mine melted last week and I haven't found a replacement yet. Oh no. The reply to that is all campers should have guns, Baron Tor, but I'm a bit different. Yes. Someone should make a movie about snuff. I tried it. I tried snuff when I was in Germany, but I didn't enjoy. I did not enjoy the experience of snorting tobacco into my nose. I think I'll just put it that way. I was like, I don't like this. I have stuff in my nose. It was like, oh, that thing you like says, I used to smoke socially, but I haven't in over a year. Yeah. I tried chew at 29 Palms, says Baron Tor, because it was so dusty and needed something to help keep my saliva up, driving a bulldozer in the desert. Oh, I'm glad I didn't have a habit of it. Yeah. And nicotine is just nitro caffeine. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, it's hey, Neo, welcome in. And the thing about, also, there was an interesting, when I was in the Army, a lot of people did chew or dip. Most people did dip rather than chew, because I think dip was more convenient because it comes in a little round canister. But the practice of dip, oh, hey, ooh, a Neo, Boba Neo. No, I've got to sing something else first, so I'm sorry. I don't want to cheat you, a Neo. The name game. Come on, everybody. I say now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name. I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F or an M will appear. And then I say bo at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fana, and fo. And then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. A neo, boba neo, banana, fana, fofa, neo, fee, fi, mo, ma, neo. A neo. Woo, yay. We're gonna give sub a neo. Nice. I seem very distractible today. I don't know. I feel a little less distractible, Krillin, or maybe more in control of the distractions. I don't even know, but I feel less distractible. I feel less what's the tobacco stuff where you put it between your top lip and that would be dip. You would put dip either between your top lip or your bottom lip. Most of the people I knew put it beneath their bottom lip, but it's always in the front, and dip is fairly finely grained, but then chew is fairly coarsely grained. You usually put that on the side. The Capitol building used to have snuff boxes all over. I think my favorite water gun was the one you pulled a handle on the top 3 times. It was like a water shotgun. Yeah. Wait, I owe you bits? Oh, I see it. No. Rissa, I see it. I saw it. I see it now. I did eat today. I did, but I'm gonna eat more later. Both are stimulants of the same family, but you need way less nicotine than caffeine for the same effect. Oh, conversely, it's way easier to overdose on nicotine. I did way too much research when I was looking up making my own vaping liquids. What does overdosing on nicotine feel like, Sea Spider? What does that feel like? Also, people who wear eyeliner, how the fuck do you get it remotely neat? Well, that's a good question. No, I never have caffeine. That's not true. I do have caffeine. I rarely have caffeine, Critwitch. Because as a super taster, most of the things that have caffeine in it don't taste good for me. So like I don't drink coffee or black tea. The only way I tend to get nicotine if I do get it is from soda. But I also don't tend to buy soda. I'll have some sodas, but I also am not buying soda for the caffeine, I'm buying soda for the taste. So I'm just as likely to drink like a ginger ale, which has no caffeine, as I am a soda with caffeine. Also, like some of the fruit sodas don't have caffeine, and I love those. So like it's yeah, yes, that is a thing. That thing, like I have a thought about eyeliner for you. The thing with dip, I find it stains a ton. Oh, that's true. True. Yes, with chew you can see parts of the leaf. It's much moister. Very carefully and while not driving. It isn't straight or neat. I've had more. Yeah. So Neo has a point that I think actually, what you use for your eyeliner, because I actually have some because I was doing some for my dwarf, and there's a difference between there's like you can get like the kind of they're like different, like the pencil is very different from like the brush. And I find that maybe practicing with different types of eyeliner to figure out what is easier for you to put on. Like, I was using a brush for a while. Like, oh, actually there's a brush, there's a pencil, and then like there's also like you can get eyeliner in a pressed powder that you put on with a, I know what I'm talking about. Like there are these brushes that are also like brushes with the liner on it. It looks like a marker. It's more like a marker, and you can use that, or you can use like a pencil type, or you can use the pressed powder with a brush. And I actually found the pressed powder with the brush worked pretty well for me when I was putting on the eyeliner. So I would just experiment with the different types of eyeliner to see what maybe works best for you. Some dips use fine glass too. I think, or something like that, Death Star. I think that's true. And Half Hours is like also practice. We grew tobacco. You could overdose cutting it if you sweat too much. It'll make you pass out in a moment. Oh, Barons, I read an article about youth that like mostly migrant farm workers who are picking tobacco, but many of them are like 13, 15, and the ways in which they can get ill because of the tobacco. I just tried putting on just before, and it's hard. Yeah, but you know what? You'll practice. And also, Death Star, hey Death Star, you know what you might also be really good? You might want to think about steadying your hand. You know what I mean? Like if you're like gonna put the eyeliner on, like you can maybe just steady your hand so that you wiggle a little bit less. Like that can be a thing. So that if you brace your arm against something, that might help. Yes, that thing you like. You got a gift sub. You got a gift sub from Drunken Scout. there are some hacks and all that, but in the end it's practice, and that's true. I think I'm the only one of the 80s kids who was a metalhead I know of who never messed with eyeliner. Hey, there was a lot of eyeliner in the 80s. It's true. I'm not affected by caffeine very much. I drink Coke because I like it. Mm-hmm. Oh, lightheaded, weird, not in a liquor way. Super dry throat, loss of taste for a while. Ooh. Oh, Death Star's like nicotine from soda. Actually, I think there was a nicotine soda. Wasn't there a soda that had nicotine in it? Wasn't there some kind of gross soda that came out, I think, before the modern energy drinks that had nicotine in it, maybe? And I think it was super gross, right? Right? I think so. Yeah, like there's a pen one. Rocky Horror. But yeah, there's like a gel one. Like there are a bunch of different styles, and I think that just finding one that might be a little bit easier for you, and then practice. There's a local theater that does midnight showings around Halloween. Oh, I used to go to Rocky all the time. Trooper, around here when I was young until I was in middle school, there was a smoking section for students at the high school, and it was allowed to be absent during tobacco cutting season. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Oh, yes. Have I noticed that you're 7? Really? Woo. Oh, that's so cool. Oh my gosh. We have to figure out what we're going to do for 1500. Well, the books have been shelved at least, but those boxes are still, I know they are, but I got a couple things out of them. I think older age drinks had nicotine. Nowadays, they mostly have taurine. Oh, Rocky Horror is great. Yeah, there was like some stuff in there. Maybe there was a caffeinated OJ for a while, and I've seen some caffeinated seltzer water in stores. Yeah. Oh, the move has gone pretty well. I still have like 12 boxes to unpack, and I just need to do that. But right now, it's also some of the work stuff has started up, so that's distracting me a little bit. But it's all right. It's right. I'm feeling mostly at home, although it's too hot, and I don't like that. There was a drink called Nicolite. Apparently, it didn't last long. Yeah, I don't think the nicotine drinks lasted long because I don't think they tasted good, but I felt like there was one. There was a thing I wanted to tell you. I wanted to tell, Drunken Scout, I wanted to tell you something, and it was this. Drunken Scout, here are my tips for you since you have the interview, right? You have your job interview. No. I know. I just feel like drinking nicotine would be gross. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like it would be super gross. And so I was like, no. Okay, so here we go. Drunken Scout, you've got your job interview tomorrow. Prepare questions. That's my advice, because oftentimes they will ask you, do you have any questions for us? Like, that's a thing that they will ask all the time. Like, do you have any questions for us? So prepare some questions that you want to ask them. Prepare a couple of good questions that you can ask them. And the purpose of those questions that you should ask them, like, theoretically, is you want to, yeah, I know, we need an over-under for how many boxes remain unopened when the next move comes. No, my goal, C Spider, is to unpack all those boxes and then repack them all again when I move. Actually, I hate all interview questions and interviews. Yeah. Oh, hey, by the way, I'm gonna just start the game, since I don't think we have to do any talking for a little bit. We just have to sort of wander around, and I think that we can do that while we're chatting. Ooh, there we go. Yes, I prepared a set of plus or minus 40 questions, depending on what they tell me on their own. Oh, that's great. That's great, Drunken Scout. If they ask what your expected salary is, ask them what they have available. Ooh, oh, that's good. Yeah. Where is the key to the stationery cupboard kept? What is the username and password for payroll? Good questions to ask. Yes. Oh, you are of an indication, Sally. Wife, I've seen Trooper not really plays this game a lot. No, tell Mrs. Barentor I've totally played it, like I have. We are expecting the boxes to be around long enough that we are planning the cardboard mock-up of them to put in place to maintain continuity. They provided it to me. Oh, that's good. Hey, hold on a second. Hold on. Wait. Guess what I found? I was looking through boxes. It was not like... She doesn't believe me. It's fair. So this is not official, because I haven't fully unpacked this box, but I was going through it for a second, and I found something, and I want to show you. I've got something for you. It's in this other box. Wait. And for the record, that box that I got this thing out of is almost completely unpacked. Like, I could probably spend like 15 minutes and that box will be unpacked, and then I can say it, and then you'll be proud of me. Oh, yeah, Drunken Scout. But this is what I'm trying to tell you. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Are you ready? I found my megaphone. I found the box with the megaphone, because if you're moving, you have to take only the essentials. One of those essentials is a megaphone. Because how else are you going to be able to sing We're in the Money as sung by Ginger Rogers in the film Gold Diggers of 1933, which means in Pig Latin, if you do not have your megaphone. So... Earway and hey, the anime. Earway and hey, the anime. Eve way out, gay up, way up, way up, way up, way up, stay ute, gay on way. Earway and hey, the anime. Either ice gaze or any say. Oh man, the ocean pray, we are a hoot, you must stay on way on rail. Eve ever eat red, lay on slay, up way at Brian's lay, ute day. And when we see the Elliot woke, let the eye get in the eye. We're in the money, we're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along. Oh my gosh, I love this megaphone so much. I really have a hard time explaining to you how much I love this megaphone. Like, I love it a lot. Like, I love this megaphone. That's all. Origami Shuriken is sitting in my backyard with a fire going, and I'm gonna roast some marshmallows. Ooh, yes. Going full s'mores? Ooh, yeah, that's a good question. Tell me about it. Look, I have to tell you, can I tell you what I would love to do? I would love to do a concert where I sing a bunch of teens and 20s songs with my megaphone. That's what I want to do. I want to sing a concert with, there's this really great song from like the teens, which I love. It's called, you don't know it. The reason why you don't know it, because I went and I bought a, like I was buying a bunch of, there's like, back when I was doing a lot more eBay, I didn't do a lot of eBay, but I would like, I would go on eBay and I would look for lots of bow ties and lots of sheet music. Ooh, Drunken Scout, yes, thank you for that. And so I have a bunch of, wait, I don't have it yet. So I have a bunch of, maybe that is my $1,500 goal. So I have a bunch of early sheet music, and one of them is called That Mellow Melody, which you will love because it's saucy in the best way. eBay, it's Pig Latin, eBay Udge. I know this pain. My heart goes out to you for the sweets that were and now cannot be again. Oh, no. Oh, no. Ooh, I'm gonna... this is too fast, but I'm gonna see what I can do. Airway and hey, the anime. Airway and hey, the anime. Eve way at gaily up, way at weeks to it gaily young will. Airway and hey, the anime. Either ice gaze or any say. Oh man, the ideation pray, we are you, throw you a stand way on rail. Eve ever the bread lay on slay, up way at Brian's lay, day. And we see the antler look, let the eye get in the eye. We're in the money, we're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along. I'm gonna tell you what. I did that and I did not mess it up at all. I got every single syllable in there. Thank you very much. And it was fast. And I'm on it today. You know what I mean? Like, I can tell we're gonna do so much great video game playing right now. I mean, as we do. Origami Shuriken, I would love to do Twitch Sings, but I cannot because it is not Mac compatible. You cannot do Twitch Sings if you're on a Mac. Every time you do this song, I think White Towns, I Could Never Be a Woman. That is a great song. There was something I wanted to tell you before, as I was playing. What was it? Oh, yeah. Got questions for them. That's good. Also, Drunken Scout, besides having good questions for them, I don't know what your interview is going to be like, but just know that this job interview is not just for you to convince them to hire you, but for you to find out if you want to work for them. You know what I mean? So like, you are a person who has value, and you have value, and so I just want you to remember that and not, go with confidence is what I'm going to say. That's all I'm saying, is go with confidence. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but I just walked off a thing. There you go. And so, there you go. Okay, so, hey, there's a goth person over there. Ooh, better broom. I bet I can get a better broom for Miriam. Oh, gotta love you all and leave you. I'm tired, off to bed. Good night, Wolfen. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. I'll see you later. So there was something, nostalgia. That's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about nostalgia. And I feel a kinship with, yes, me too. And I'm gonna talk with her. I just wanna see what else is happening here first. Oh, hey, it's Miriam. All right. It's a job at an ecological third-party research company. Ooh. It's like a dream job to me. I have high hopes, but knowing people are crossing their fingers for me is always good. Yes. Oh, Drunken Scout. That's amazing. That's really cool. What a cool job. What time is your job interview? I want to be able to send you a good thought while you're in there. You know? So, this is what I want to tell you about nostalgia. Exactly 12 hours? Okay. In 12 hours, I will send you good thoughts, is what I will do. So I was on an OSR Reddit a while back, and I just sort of asked, Better Broom, is it a sweep sale? Yes. And I was asking about like the role of nostalgia in the old school Renaissance, and Zach S was like, there's no nostalgia. You clearly don't know anything about the OSR if you think there's any nostalgia involved at all. And I was like, the name of the OSR stands for Old School Renaissance or Old School Revival. Like, nostalgia is just baked into that. Like, it's just in the title. And he was like, yeah, you're clearly stupid because you don't know anything about stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you're super defensive. Like, I'm not even saying nostalgia is necessarily bad. Like, wow. And one person, this was really interesting. One person said, I'm not nostalgic. I can't be nostalgic because I wasn't even born then. And I thought about that, and I thought it was an interesting misconception. I think people so this person, and I think some other people do too, have the misconception that you can only be nostalgic for a time when you were alive, like you can be nostalgic for your past. But I find that's not necessarily true. I find that people are nostalgic all the time for time periods where they never lived. And I think it's easier to be nostalgic for a time period where you didn't live than one that you did. Yeah, plenty of folks are nostalgic for like the Roaring Twenties. Yes, plenty of folks are nostalgic for the Roaring Twenties, or for Jane Austen's time, or the 1950s, or all sorts of time periods. And I know a lot of people are like, wouldn't it have been great to live in Jane Austen's time? I was like, no, it wouldn't have been. It probably would have been awful. They did not have refrigeration yet. Also, just for a lot of reasons, it probably would not have been great to live in the Regency, unless I suppose you were super wealthy. But even then, no refrigeration. You know what I mean? So I think that I think that happens a lot. Yeah. Nostalgia doesn't always require something from long ago. Yes. It usually refers to things or thoughts that remind you of something you experienced or some experience to get word of, even if it's before you're born. Yeah. And it's easier when you just get the romanticized version. Yeah. It would be the Regency I think would not be that fun. Sea Spider says, for example, I was born in 1977, but I grew up listening to the music my parents liked, so the 60s, so they feel nostalgic for me. Yeah, that's right. Like modern plumbing and the internet, yeah. You can be homesick for a place that wasn't ever home. That's so true. That's true. And I think about this a lot, and I think that when doesn't nostalgia mean homesickness? So it can always be possible in current. Yeah. But you can introduce RPGs to the Regency and then become a millionaire. Also, what I think is interesting about this is that I think when it comes to nostalgia for one's own life, when I hear people talking nostalgically, often, not exclusively, right? There are different moments, but often it's for a time when they're actually quite young. And by that I mean like 5, 6, or 7, before they really have a sense of the world. And also, I find like I was 5, 6, or 7 in the 70s, but I don't really know what the 70s were like, if you know what I mean. Like, when you're 5, any time period is just as good as any other time period because you're 5. And so I think that there's something really interesting about thinking about nostalgia as not necessarily being grounded to a place where you actually were, but kind of like a memory of a place that you may not have actually been. Wizard Styles, hey Wizard Styles, says, there was a Guardian article semi-recently about people emulating the lifestyles or time periods from the 70s all the way back to the 19th century. And many of them spoke more about what those times meant to them in contrast to the current one. Yes, right? Even time periods where they never were. And I think that this is like, and so to say, oh, my, like, this one guy who was like, yeah, I wasn't born back in the 70s and 80s, so I can't be nostalgic for the old school. It's just the old school was so great and gaming was so much better then, and all the games was like, nope, right there, that's nostalgia. Like, that's nostalgia. Like, that's what you're doing, because all the games, that's, come on, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't think that nostalgia is necessarily bad, right? I like when I say nostalgia, I don't think it's necessarily bad. It is, however, fantastical. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's often about a rose-colored glasses or a fantasy of some sort. And I just think that you have to sort of ask yourself the question of what kind of fantasy you're indulging in, and if that fantasy might be messed up. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's all. Like, I think that it's also a little bit dangerous to delude yourself. And so I think that it's okay to have, as long as you're clear-eyed about it, I think it's kind of a complicated thing to explain. I get nostalgic for the Whispers campaign, less about my age and more about the people and the story we told to it. Yes. So are trends and fashions, I think, yes, trends and fashions are sometimes nostalgia. Yes, they are. And also they have a certain fantasy to them. And in the sense that oftentimes people are like, oh, clothes in the 80s were so great. And then they described clothes in the 80s and I was like, well, clothes in the 80s were also sometimes gross. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think that like there's a way in which people will imagine what people wore, but oftentimes those imaginations are not necessarily accurate. It might have been, hey, Ava, I did a name game for you. It might have been a fashion that wasn't exactly there, and so that becomes really interesting. Drunken Scout says, the thing also is, people living in what for us is history may have been just as competent, yes, contempt as people now are, yes, because you don't because you don't miss the luxury you have never known. We don't miss teleportation because it simply hasn't been invented yet. Yes, although, here's my although, that I think that you can, like, yes. Yet, you can recognize a time and place as a thing is messed up even if you don't have the tools to not deal with it. For example, I never had air conditioning growing up because I grew up in San Francisco. And I'd never experienced air conditioning. I've never been in a place with air conditioning. And sometimes it would get really hot within San Francisco standards, and I would be super miserable, and I would wish that there was something I could do where it wouldn't be this hot, but I'd never actually experienced an air conditioner. So even though I'd never experienced an air conditioner, actually there were a bunch of, because I didn't grow up with a lot of modern appliances, do you know what I mean? But I still knew sometimes that those things were, that like, it would be nice if I had something where and I wouldn't have to be in like misery. That's all. So like, but it's weird because you want this thing, but you don't know what it is or what the experience of it is like. So that's a weird thing to want a thing but never have experienced it. It's weird. It's different. Like, so yes, I'm with you, but it's also this kind of weird thing where sometimes you know. Yes. In a product work, whatever, nostalgia is like fan service. If that's all you have to offer, then it's wrong, yeah. Atomic says, oh, definitely. I have clothes I would never wear again. Baratar, but when I find the box there and I go, kid on Christmas morning for 5 minutes before they go out, back away. Yes, hey, Ava. Clothes in the 80s were made by poor people overseas. Well, it depends. There were also like a lot of like designer clothes. Clothes now made by poor people overseas, yeah. You know how I feel about AC Trooper. What were those jackets from the 80s that were so in style? Members only jackets. Yeah, Varum says it. Hey, DSB, hey. Yeah. members only jackets. And it's also interesting because I was thinking about, I'm always impressed whenever I see a media that's set in a time period that I actually know a little bit better, that actually looks like it. So specifically, let's talk about the 80s. I don't know if you saw *Halt and Catch Fire*, which was set in the early 80s, and it was good because the early 80s kind of looked like the 70s a little bit. It wasn't like, ooh, 80s. And so that was kind of cool. Drunken Scout says, but that isn't a difference. That is also why I mentioned teleportation. A lot of people dread transit to and from work, yes, so we miss it, but no one complains too much because that isn't within our current realm of possibilities. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Although, I know people who complain all the time about the heat. You know what I mean? It's just, but again, you can't miss teleportation because you never had it. But there are people who don't like their current moment will complain about it a lot. And there are also people who don't know there's anything different, and so then they don't. So I think, I feel like it's tricky. Beetlewind says, it's a line from the Warren Ellis comic, so I feel bad for mentioning it. But in his book, Cressy, about the Battle of Cressy, his main character is talking to the reader, says, we're just as smart as you are, we just don't have the added centuries of acquired knowledge. And the list of yes. There's always people complaining. Isn't our nature to complain? Or it's in some people's nature to complain. I don't know if everybody does, but, yes. I have nostalgia because I still kind of want one, but I never had one. Yeah. The heat sucks even with AC. There's still a metric F ton of wood paneling on everything. Oh my gosh, that's the thing that is the thing I think, everyone complains about something. One thing I think is really interesting is that, this is like a little detail, but Date Bait, if you watch that 1960s teen exploitation film Date Bait, it's on YouTube. There are like some car chases, but what's interesting about that film, early 60s, I'd say, is that it's a teen exploitation film, which means it's not made by a major studio, like by an independent studio for probably like $5, right? So the teens in that film are not driving cars from the early 60s. They're driving cars from the late 40s, early 50s, because a lot of teenagers, if they have cars, cannot afford new cars, right? So they get these old cars. And not everyone can afford the newest fashion. And so I think that sometimes that is what is missed when people will make movies set in the past. They go for like the most current fashion for that one year, not recognizing that many people don't wear the most current fashion. Do you know what I mean? And heat sucks. You can keep putting on layers, but once you're naked, there's nowhere to go. Ava, that is exactly what I think. That is exactly what I think. Car, wood paneling. Radio cabinet, wood paneling. Fencing, wood paneling. Electronics, wood paneling. Yes. What today's considered 80s is really 85 and 82-ish. That's true. I think that's true, Sea Spider. Y'all, Ava, you go to jail. Yes, early computers with wood paneling. No, it's true. I remember. Also, if you remember the Atari had wood paneling on it. Like there are like the Atari Does jail have AC? That's a good question. Being current is for squares. Then you see the problem with heat. Yeah, and I think that that's really interesting. Like let's just note. Like I currently have clothes that are. I love my wood panel taro. I want to tell you that I have a t-shirt that is from 1990. I don't wear it much anymore, but I have a t-shirt from 1990. And 1990 was 30 years ago. Oh, it's my high school reunion year. Interesting. So do you know what I mean? Like people don't always keep current, especially if you don't have a lot of money. It's not easy to just always wear the most current clothes. And I think that sometimes media forgets that. You know, like they kind of, yeah. My old man still has one of those computers with paneling. It only runs what is today the command prompt. Oh my gosh. Oh, hey, speaking of the olden days, lies, 1990 was only 10 years ago. That's fair. What were cars with wood paneling like? Oh, they call them woodies. They usually station wagons, right? Station wagons with the wood paneling on the side. Yes, yeah. I don't think we have a lot of wood. Do we have a lot of station wagons anymore? Do we? I feel like station wagons have been supplanted by SUVs. Yeah, that sort of veneer fake wood paneling. Yeah. One of my closest friends says his fashion stopped in the mid-90s. all he has are jeans and black t-shirts. Yes. No, SUVs, yeah, like SUVs replace station wagons, right? For the most part, like yes. Yeah, I think they were killed by SUVs. Oh, no one even makes them. And I know that the old style Jeep Wrangler has often been sort of like, I think you can probably get a Jeep Wrangler, but I think a lot of the Jeeps are those kind of Jeep SUVs. If you were a kid in the 80s and never traveled in the back of a station wagon with no seatbelts, you're not a real 80s
Name
kid.
game.
Oh, the name game. Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F or an M will appear. And then I say boo at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fan, or info. And then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Death Star Taco. No, that's not the right rhythm. Death Star Taco's not good. Death Star Taco. Death Star Taco. Death Star Taco. There isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Death Star Taco. I know. Death Star Taco is the bad rhythm. That's not a good rhythm. And there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Death Star Taco. Death Star Taco. It's Death Star Taco. Death Star Taco. And there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Death Star Taco. Death Star Taco. Death Star Taco. Best Star Taco. Banana Fanafo. Theft Star Taco. Fee Fi Mo Meth Star Taco. Death Star Taco. Da 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 da. Death Star Taco. Death Star Taco. Death Star Taco. Best Star Taco. Banana Fanafo. Theft Star Taco. Fee Fi Mo Meth Star Taco. Death Star Taco. Now I want tacos. I think there's like a really heavy first beat, and I think you like Death Star Taco, Beth Star Taco, da 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 da. Because like there's like a thing. Yeah. Da 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 da. Ooh, hey, I just realized something, everybody. Music theory thing. I just realized a music theory thing. Yes. I just realized a music theory thing that I'm gonna have to tell you now. That's it. Yay, gift stub. Station wagons are safer. Oh, station wagons, right? Wait, oh my gosh, wait, I'm learning things. The last US station wagon, and it was from 2014. Oh my gosh. Oh. It's a Volvo. Yeah. Station wagon, minivan, SUV. Oh yeah, minivan. You didn't fit in without the icon in chat. Yes. SUV to crossover. SUVs are mostly truck-based. A few still are, but not many left. Oh, that's interesting. Oh my god, Death Star Taco, says Atomica. I was looking at that for the longest time, wondering what sort of alien head that was before it was a guy bowing. I guess Jeeps and like full tons? Yeah, I feel like Wranglers still exist, but they might be a little bit harder to get a hold of. We had a 74, this is Death Star Taco. Dodge Aspen station wagon, no real wood. We called it the War Wagon or the Flintstones wagon, as eventually the driver's foot floor run out. Oh, yeah. Why don't I always want tacos, Trooper? Krellin asks me. I think I always do, but sometimes it's more to the forefront than other times. There's a place called Death by Taco near my place, and now I want to order from them. Ooh, tacos are so good. Car and driver features, best station wagons. Oh. Buick Skylark was your first car. I know a while back Volvos all went crossover type vehicles. Oh, nice. Were station Beetlewinds asked, were station wagons a specific car or a type of car? Because estate style cars are still a thing, just not as popular as sedan or hatchback. No, station wagons were a style of car. They were making Wranglers 2D and now the 4-door, which is what I have. Oh, estate cars are station wagons. I believe if they're named after ranches, possibly in Australia. My first car that I personally owned was a Subaru Libero minivan that I got for like a couple $100s when I was in the Army. Because like people would have cars and they would like buy a car when they were stationed overseas, and it would not make sense to bring the car back overseas, so they'd sell them to the next person. And like there would be these cars that would just like be there from person to person to person for many, many years, and they were often very bad cars. And this was not a good car. It was my first stick shift as well, and that was a thing. I got the base car. I got the base car. And it's like, it's this car that just kind of like sticks around. But the first car I learned how to drive on was the Aspen was a Tourist Driving doors that didn't say shut. The first car I learned to drive on was a Cadillac. It was not like a fancy Cadillac. It was like a big brown 70s Cadillac, not fancy car, but like regular car without power steering. And it was a huge boat that was not, it was a thing to drive, but that's what you learned on. Drunken Scout, this goes back to something that you were saying, actually, about if you don't know the thing exists, you can't miss it. That thing that you were talking about. And I was thinking about, work with me here for a moment. I was thinking about most interesting car doors, the doors from the door. Yes. So Drunken Scout, I was thinking about two different things, right? The difference between a thing that doesn't exist at all, that you can only imagine and sort of want the thing, and a thing that is a version of a thing that you already have. But okay, this is okay. I'm gonna try to explain what I'm talking about because it makes sense to me. Atomic says, "Oh my gosh, you just gave me nightmare flashbacks, Trooper. I had an uncle who dropped off a base car his last day, leaving his tour in Japan. It broke down on the way, and it's a story I've had to hear at least 200 times in my life." Beetlewind says, "I know the style of traditional wood panel station wagons exclusively from the movies, so I assume they're all driven by Chevy Chase, and at some point you'll pick up a hitchhiker John Candy and will end up getting you lost and chased by small town cops." That happens every time. So just, if you see John Candy hitchhiking, don't pick him up. That's all. You know what recently had wood paneling that I hated? PT Cruisers. Oh, they did, didn't they? Okay, so Drunken Scout, work with me. As a kid, before there were cell phones, I remember like watching Star Trek and thinking, oh, I would love to have something like that. Like, cell phones didn't exist, they were just a fantasy. And I remember, yes, Death Star Taco, that is what they were singing about. Yeah, Death Star, they were singing about these sort of big station, the Woodies, these big station wagons with wood on the side. So, like, I remember dreaming about having a communicator, like how cool would having a communicator be? And like, I would think about how cool that would be, and I would like ponder it, and like, I would sort of like miss not having this thing that didn't exist, right? But like, I could imagine this thing. Don't pick up zombies. The only reason I would not pick up Hitchhiker John Candy is because John Candy is dead, and thus Hitchhiker John Candy is a ghost or a zombie. Yeah, neither one. And now we all have a communicator, which is weird. The first cell phone, what they called, Kermit. Oh, that's a good question.
Name game.
Oh, the name game. Come on, everybody. I say now, let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name. I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F. Or an M will appear. And then I say bo at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. Then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. But if the first two letters are ever the same, I drop them both and say the name. I like Bob, Bob drop the B's, Bo, Arbo, Fred, Fred drop the F's, for Red, or Mary, Mary drop the M's, Mo, airy. That's the only rule that is contrary. Be right, be right, be right, Bo, E right, banana, fanna, fo, fee right, fee, fi, mo, me right. Be right. I have two things I want to tell you. Thank you so much for that resub, and thank you for letting me sing the second part of that song, the special extra rules, which I really care about. So thank you. Thank you. cell phones were literally designed to resemble the Star Trek community, right? Like the flip phones, they totally were. And I feel like that's like, yeah. And of course, what they are is not exactly what we fantasize, so that's interesting. Tomek and me and some friends would start humming Barnum and Bailey's Best whenever PT Cruise would pass on by, pretense on by. I remember they were like a suitcase you had to plug into one of those poles. Yeah. But here's the thing, I was thinking about, like, I knew that I didn't have a communicator, and I knew that I wanted one even though they didn't exist, right? So that's a very different feeling than, a Volkswagen Carmen Ghia. But then, so here's the thing, I was thinking about when I was learning how to play tennis as a kid in, like, on the playground, you know, they gave us all a tennis racket. Like there was like this program for kids to learn tennis, and they gave us all a tennis racket. And the tennis racket was made of wood because that's vintage, right? So I learned how to play tennis with this wooden racket that was heavy, but that's what rackets were. Do you know what I mean? Like I couldn't miss something else, because that's what rackets were. Like I had a racket, here it is, this is what it looks like and feels like, and it's wooden. And the difference between like a good racket or a bad racket was not that one was wood and one wasn't, they were all wood. And so like I couldn't fantasize for a different kind of racket because I had a racket and that's what it was. Drunken Scout says, the difference between two things you miss, something close to conceivable, and something that is fictitious or very far-fetched. Yeah, and I think there's something really interesting about the ways in which that was different. Like when I first displayed with a what do you call it, graphite racket? Like I'm not a good tennis player. Like I'm really bad. So don't think that I'm good. I am bad. I was like it was mind-boggling to me, the difference between a wooden racket and like the newer racket. Also, that slightly bigger heads. It was just like, it was so light. It was so. I think they went to aluminum first, maybe. And it was very different. And when I was playing with the wooden racket, I couldn't imagine a different kind of racket. So I mean, so back then I wasn't missing anything because I had the racket. And now I'm like, oh wow, like I can recast the past and think, wow, wouldn't it have been amazing to have had an aluminum racket back then? But of course you just didn't. But like I could miss a TARDIS, or I could miss a what we now call a cell phone, things that didn't exist but were in science fiction and were imagination things, and I could miss those things. But I couldn't miss a titanium racket because I had a wooden racket. That's what I'm gonna say. Like, isn't that interesting? Like that's you're gonna go playtest a homebrewish class you made for Pathfinder 2E, but I'll try to be, good, I will see you in CR, Anio. Yeah, so I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah. Welcome to the club. I can turn every fifth ball myself. Yeah, like, and I can serve. It may not actually be legal, but sometimes it is. Ta-da! You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm not. Like, I know the rules. Imagine how awesome having the TARDIS in the '60s, very, very portable. Yeah. So like the Carmen, Yeah. So there's something really interesting about the difference between having a little bit of something might stop you from thinking about the rest of it, whereas having it not at all might give you the space to dream for it. If that makes any sense? Does that make any sense? Do you think, does that make sense? Like, I think there's something about if you don't have it at all, right? Like if you don't have it at all, you might be able to dream it. But you have a little bit of it that might make it harder to dream newer parts of it. That might just be me, but that was just a thought I was thinking about. That's a thought that I had. Which is the most fake, boring, annoying people on the planet, if you ask me? I'm not really proud to be one of them. We're born with such strange hair colors. Pink, green, cyan, bleh. I like normal human hair colors. I guess that's obvious from my hair now. Oh, hello, Sophie. Reality is controlled by the technocracy. Wife, that's almost like someone on a diet taking a bite of something they can't eat so they can fantasize about eating without doing so. Yeah. If that little bit does the job, it might be even worse. Yeah, I think that's true, right? Like, I think there's something in there, right? And I think we could talk about capitalism in there. No one in the past could miss refrigeration because they had ice and ice boxes and salt, yes. They knew how to keep things fresh, and a magic box that kept things cold just wasn't a thing they could think of. Yeah. So there's something interesting about... There's something interesting about giving somebody just enough that they don't push for more. I do believe missing something and having a foreign concept that might block you from thinking creatively. Whereas not having it nor having even the concept you miss invites you to explore beyond possibility and creatively find a concept to work towards. Yeah. I mean, somebody thought of it and invented the fridge. That's true. That did happen. Of course, sometimes inventions happen in weird ways, right? Like sometimes that invention is not what you meant to invent. Sometimes you meant to invent something else and then you get this thing and you're like, right? Like that's like for example, Gerhard Schröder, who created sarin gas during World War, a little bit before World War II, as it is, he was not trying to create a chemical weapon. He was trying to create a pesticide, right? And he knew about pesticides. Like he was the first person to create nerve agents. We did not have nerve agents before him. Hey, watch my RPG, City of Light and Shadows, when we start up again in September. Reminds me of something. Anyway, so he wasn't trying to create a nerve gas because I don't think he had the concept of it, but he was trying to create a pesticide that he then realized was this new thing that was then a nerve gas, and then we had them. Refrigeration was invented as an attempt to dehumidify. Oh, Krellin! That's so interesting. Like walking to the grocery store when it's 100 degrees outside and knowing you have to eventually go home to your house with no AC. Yeah. Silly Putty was invented as a failed C4. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Makes me look at Silly Putty differently now. Just a weird thought. Who invented milk? Because someone must have thought, let me suck on this cow's seed at one point. Yeah, I actually often think about early... and of course, I know, by the way, I know what you mean by invented milk. I know totally what you mean by that. Probably a drunken scout. Like, I know why you phrase it that way, and I'm totally fine with that phrasing. Double Bubble was just supposed to be another chewing gum. Oh, really? See, these are the things I think that's really interesting. It's like some caveman really missed his mom. And the thing is, I feel like with milk, you can see how it works, so maybe you get an idea there. But things like, how does somebody first make bread? Like, there are certain things that are multi-step processes, and how do you get there? You know what I mean? Like, you don't just accidentally make bread. Like, that seems like a whole process. How did the first person come up with that one? Early man learned so much stuff from just watching Animal. First time here, we're talking about toxic gas, fridges, and milk. Yes, Consabar. We like to talk about a lot of random things. We're kind of talking about imagining things or missing things that you have never experienced. Like, can you miss something how do you miss something? Yeah, drunken sauce, brine, bread, wine, yogurt, chocolate, that kind of thing. Yeah. Like, there are certain things that you can observe in nature and think, oh, I could make that or use that. Or that animal died when it ate that thing. I probably shouldn't eat that one. But some things take more steps, and then how do you get there? It's thought that cooking came from our earliest ancestors realizing that animals caught in forest fires tasted nicer. Ooh, that's interesting. Also exceptionally distractible, yes. Yes, this is the trooper experience. It is true. Yeah, and, but I also think, I know I started the game and everything. I talked to Sophie. So there's a thing that I think is really exciting. Ursula K. Le Guin, the science fiction author, she was given some kind of Lifetime Achievement Award recently, right before she died. And she said the most amazing thing, and I think it's really deep. I think it's such a great argument for the importance of the arts. Beetleman's legend has it that jerky was invented when a hunter hid in a tree with a catch but had to run from a predator, then came back and found the meat was dried but still edible. I mean, wine could just be accidental, like made juice that actually fermented or whatever and then refined over time. Yeah, that's true. Walter E. Delmer invented Double Bubble, the first bubble gum before Bazooka Joe arrived on the scene. I had clipped an article about happy accidents at my apartment door. Oh, that seems fun. Oh, yes, Atomic, that's true. Consabar, you do need a proper introduction. This is fair. By the way, Drinking Scout, I want to thank you for walking into that perfect setup back there. I appreciate a good joke setup. I will tell you what Ursula K. Le Guin said, but we just got bits. And when we get bits here, I sing the song We're in the Money, but I sing it as Ginger Rogers sang it in the film Gold Diggers of 1933, which means I'm going to sing it in Pig Latin. And so... Earway and hey, the anime. Earway and hey, the anime. Ewe at gale at way at way execute it gale young way. Earway and hey, the anime. Ere I skays are on he say. Oh man, the aviation pray we are ooh, they was stand way young ray. Ewe ever eat red lands lay, halfway at brands lay, ooh, tay day. And when we see the Lord will clap the eye, in the eye. We're in the money, we're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along. Ah, thank you, Atomica. Thank you. Bread could be similar, like they had flour or whatever, it got wet. They dried it to them with fire, made bread. Oh, yeah. Thanks for the intro. I'll try. Bedsheets didn't have the rubber for a long time and had to be redone every night. Yeah. There was another thing that was interesting. It was, Ursula K. Le Guin. What she said was, she was talking about, like, the ways in which, in the current moment, a lot of authors are being kind of screwed over, and it's like really not great, and it seems very overwhelming, and the ways in which it's really difficult to get like there's all sorts of stuff that was going on with like it's really hard to be a writer right now, fiction writer, whatever, all writers, and she was talking about how like the current moment in capitalism makes it very, very difficult, and then she said this thing, and she said, in these moments, these things may seem overwhelming. And I think about this like in our current political moment, right? These things like sort of like late stage capitalism or all these different things may seem overwhelming. And then she said, and inevitable. And like there's nothing like, or like hatred or all these things, they seem inevitable. But she says, so did the divine right of kings. And we got rid of that. And she said that anything made by humans can be unmade by humans. But the only way to do it is to be able to imagine something different. And she said the role of the artist, and she was speaking specifically in her case about science fiction and fantasy authors, is to keep alive the imagination of the other way of doing things in the world until we can then manifest it. And I thought that was so beautiful, and it made me think about the ways in which people watch Star Trek and then they invented cell phones. You know what I mean? Like the ways in which science fiction and fantasy can be a space where we can hold an imagination of a different way of being. And that's cool. That's all. Another really interesting thing is that the move to agriculture from hunter-gathering actually led to a much lower quality of life, disease, and lower life expectancy. Oh, beetle ones, I can imagine that because you start becoming sedentary, right? But the benefit was more people overall could live and allowed for specialists. It's quite the trade-off, yeah. It's very hard to come up with a fiction or storylines than what is happening in
Name
life.
game.
Yes. Oh! The name game. Come on, everybody. I say now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like I wasn't there. And then a B or an F, or an M will appear. And then I say bow at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fan, or info. Then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Drunken Scout, Drunken Scout, Drunken Scout, Bunkin' Scout, Banana, Fanta, for Funkin' Scout, fee, fi, mo, Munkin' Scout. Drunken Scout. Thank you so much for that resub. Yes, the onion may be a part of the hot sheets, as they said in Men in Black. Quick, let's manifest ice cream for us on the near side of the moon. Not bad, right? Yeah, so like I think there's something really interesting about, well, okay, because we were talking about Rocky Horror Picture Show earlier. To quote the Rocky Horror Picture Show, don't dream it, be it, but you can't be it before you dream it, right? So I think there's an importance to being able to fantasy. I think fantasy is important. I think, right, imagination is important. T2 sub, mind you. See, yeah. Oh my gosh. Tier 2? What? Well, you know what that means. That means you get access to more emotes. Oh, hey, we need to make a new emote. We need to make a Doom emote. We have to make a Doom emote. We're gonna make a Doom emote. I don't really get why there's a war going on. Like, what's wrong with Rule? Did they do something? You can't be what you can't see. Thank you, Toy Boy Sailor. Yes. Doom! Yes. No, Brad. Yeah, you can't be what you can't see. And I think that there's something about, like, there's something really powerful about imagination and being able to craft things. And that's why, I can absolutely be John Cena if I choose. Tonight at 11. Doom! And I think that's why it's important to have representation, right? I think that it's important to have representation so that you can see people doing things that you can then aspire to. Beetleman's messaged you a thing on Discord on, hunter-gatherer versus agriculture. I'm like, ooh, yes. There was a thing about that. They seem cool to me. What do I know? I want to move out of here when I get older. Definitely not go to the academy. I'd go across the ocean. Or I'd go to Rule even. Starting a new life in a strange new place. That sounds almost kind of exciting. What if your due mate was just tonight at 11? Oh. Ooh. It should be, Ava, it should be in our Discord, right? I think it should be in our Discord. Yes, so it's a message, or is it in the Discord, or is it a personal message? Can I post a huge quote in chat I need you to read? Yes, please do. Put it in media. Media musings. You should also, but I should have a... Okay. Here's what I imagine. I don't know if this will work as an emote because emotes are so small. I can imagine like a archery target, right? And like an arrow that has like just fallen short of the archery target. Like that, I think, would be hilarious. Ooh, range with a red circle. That would probably work. But I like the idea of the right, just the. I know, like the target and like the arrow in the ground. It'd probably be too complicated for an emote. Nostalgia. Interested in some candy, sweetie? They're all homemade from family recipes, passed down through generations of witches. Oh, I like candy. Of course you do. Try some of my dried worm guts. Could I have candy? What? That is candy. My worm guts are the best in Mohabumi. Try. That's okay. If not the worm guts, how about my pickled bug horns? Do witches really eat these things? We love these things. Try. Oh. 2 emotes. 1 target, 1 missed arrow. Ooh. Barontor, target and missed arrow was 2 emotes. That would probably work. Yes, multi-emote emotes. Yes. It's more of a small monologue than a quote, but still. She's not even a witch. I guarantee it, she's trolling you. She might just be. It's such a waste to come to Mohabumi and not even taste our candy. Try just one thing. I insist. Fine. I think, I have to check, but I think I have 1 extra slot, but that might not be true anymore. I knew I had 1 extra slot, but I might have gotten 1 more. I have to check. The last time I checked, I had 1 extra one, but I might. I also like that it is also missed the mark target as well. Yeah, except the candy off the stranger. That's really tasty, actually. Didn't I tell you? That's a very popular one. Sweet, crunchy bat flakes. Would you like to take some? Nah, I'm okay. This is more actual gameplay than I've seen in the last month combined. Well, you know, I'm like, you know, ooh. I just want to know what's down here. Like, I don't want to miss anything. Ooh. Love dress. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so like here's the thing. I just want to make sure that I have not missed any of the things, because I care about like not missing the things. I feel like that's important. So anyway, I was thinking about nostalgia, and I was thinking about things that people are often nostalgic for that I am not nostalgic for. And specifically high school. Like, I am not nostalgic for high school. I did not find high school fun. You know? So, like, for me, that's interesting to think about this idea of people being like so excited for high school. And I was not excited for high school. That was not. Yeah, I didn't. Oh. What do you think that does? That feels to me like a later game situation, maybe? Because there's something going on there, certainly. I really dig the heart and the... Yeah. I think I might like high school if I got to go back with the knowledge I currently have. That would be interesting. But see, the thing is, I think it's not just knowledge. I think it might also sometimes be autonomy, right? Like, one of the problems with high school is that you didn't have a lot of autonomy to say no or do your own thing because you had to be in high school with people. I mean, if I had my maturity today, that might be different. Also, where... Oh, hey, Miriam. Miriam, wait. Didn't I see you earlier? What is going on here? I feel like we have just gone into some whole different place, and I don't like it. See, like, there she is again. All right, we're gonna just, you know what? We're just gonna just, here we go. We're gonna just go, what is that? We're gonna just go this way. This is it. We're just going this way. That's it. I hated high school, says Viram. Could not pay me enough to go back there. Yeah, everyone's like, nope. Let's play a high school RPG. Me, let's not. High school was a beat down my entire existence. Yeah, no one comes only for the gameplay. That's fair. Carl, but the problem is that everyone around me would not have that knowledge, would probably make it still suck. Yeah. I'm nostalgic for the first high school I taught at, but fuck the high school I went to. Beetle wins. I appreciate that as well. Oh, you had a lot of autonomy in high school? But I was a white rich kid. Yeah, but what I mean is, like, I had to be in school with people I didn't like, and they wouldn't leave me alone. You know what I mean? Like, and that's tricky. Have you tried to do the singing spell next to the magic wand dude? Which magic wand dude? I haven't... Let's see. Magical candy, better brooms. I think... Let's see. Let's, back down here, the magical gift guy. I don't think... Oh, the magical wand guy. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. And we're gonna ask. Yes. We're gonna check it out. I like it. Yes. I'm going back to studying in a month or so, working next to the job. Seems ideal. High school was where I forgot why I hated middle school. So I went to college and will be hard to remind of why that was unfortunate. Yeah. I went to a pretty good high school, so actually had a decent bit of freedom and didn't mind my classmates all that really. So I didn't dislike it, but I have way more university nostalgia than high school nostalgia. A lot of mental health stuff in high school didn't, so I don't miss that really. Yeah, Javi, I totally get that. I felt that way from my Frosh sophomore year, Trooper, but junior, senior had gone full Rorschach. I'm not stuck here with you. You're stuck here with me. Atomica. Seems it freaks him out. He doesn't like it. Oh, come on, dude. Beetlewind says, oh wait, how many mental breakdowns are we getting for my master's degree? My favorite line in that movie. Were we here or were we earlier? I think we were earlier. There was something on my Facebook about an ex-teacher in my high school, people paying to tribute her because she took in all the lonely kids and gave them a safe space. And I just thought, man, that does sound cool. Would have been much cooler if someone had told me about this safe area when I was there. Oh, hey, Hawkeye. You know, this is really interesting, Beetlewinds. Yeah, so Beetlewinds, you bring up something I think is really interesting, that I had a teacher in middle school that really was like the person that made me not want to die so much, because my middle school was a really awful experience. As I think middle school is for a lot of people, because middle school is there's puberty happening and people are often not happy with their lives. You know what I mean? So like I had that teacher that made it so that my life was not as bad in middle school as like the art teacher. Legit, I'm not proud of this. I should have handled things better, but I was known for drop kicking more than a few people out of absolutely nowhere when I saw freshmen getting bullied by older students. And so this is the thing I was thinking, that this is the, I would love to stick around, but I'm going to catch some sleep, so I'm not zombie-like during the interview. No, that's fair. Go to sleep, and you know we're thinking about you. Oh, so it doesn't look like I can go there. Fair. All right, well, I worry a little bit about going too far and not getting everything, but we're gonna do it anyway. Woo! Oh, I'm gonna talk to her. Seeing how young and openly queer kids at the Queer Youth Club are nowadays, maybe I'd like today's high school. Maybe, but I have questions. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm a little skeptical. I'm just a little skeptical because I think about how they're like, when I was in school, we didn't have gay straight alliances yet. So there wasn't anything like that. But I just want to make sure that people who have that gay straight alliance aren't being bullied outside of it. I mean, it's good for them to have it. Like I just want to make sure everyone's gonna be okay, you know? And when a 280-pound metalhead in black from head to toe paints a goth high soul boot in your chest with his entire body in the air, you rethink your life choices. Yes. And I think about, I imagine, because here's the thing I will say about that, Consabar, I get it, but I also know that there are probably things that are much harder today than they were when I was in school. Like I'm thinking about social media, and I'm thinking about online, like cyberbullying, and I bet that's hard. You know what I mean? Like I bet there's a lot of that's probably really rough for people today. People following you in your home space. Yeah. Like I just want everybody to, I just want everybody to be okay. My youthful aggression has led to me being almost completely pacifist now physically. I totally get that. I'm more likely to use my words to crush someone's will if they're being a bully. One wrong post on social media and you are ruined now. Yeah, I just worry a little bit, and I also worry about the ways in which, okay, Scout, go to sleep and tell us when you wake up how it goes. Yeah, so I suppose I worry a little bit about the ways in which social media can enable a different kind of bullying that that might be less visible to adults. Do you know what I mean? Like if we were being bullied in school, sometimes people could tell because it was happening out in public. But if it's happening on in DMs or in some kind of a social media, I worry a little bit that maybe sometimes people might be bullied and it's not being seen. But we all. Yeah, I've got my first smartphone in 2014. Yeah, so I don't know, and maybe it's fine, but I just want to make sure everyone's okay. I'm also not sure how open the queer youth spaces are in reality. Great that it's better, but not all queer spaces are free from discrimination, even when it comes to queer identities. Yeah, my bullying was public, and I was told to just suck it up and ignore it. Yeah, nobody did anything about mine either, and that was awful. But on the other side, Krellin, I could also run away from them. Do you know what I mean? I could escape them. Sometimes I had to duck and take interesting routes to escape them, but it might be hard to escape. Oh, that was elementary, middle school, yeah. But it might be hard to escape cyber. I don't know. Like, I'm not certain. And I also wonder about, I have questions. I was a fat kid. Oh, I was sneaky. Like, I would like, do. My roommate had similar experiences. Yeah. My great-grandma started the whole war with rule. It's true, really. A long time ago, she was in Jianshan, and she saw one of those animals. What do they call them? Quinn? It was a beautiful bird, I think, and she decided to keep it. But later she found out it was the princess's Quinn. When it went missing, he panicked. They thought it was kidnapped by spies. Yep, so they started the war over it. You know, it was crazy. Because the Quinn liked my great-great-grandma way better. The prince was like, really mean to it. It was embarrassing for rule, so they kept the real reason for the war a secret, but it was my great-great-grandma. Yep. Rest in peace. Oh. My whole family's crazy. We used to live in the Mohabumi Castle. Yep. When I was a kid, it was my job to brush the queen's hair. I had to do it every day, even though I was so young. My dad was like a political advisor to her, so he knew like all her secrets, but he knew too much. Yep. One day, he found out something he wasn't supposed to, so the queen killed him. Yeah, it was so sad. I had to leave the castle forever. I never found out the secret that got him killed. But I think it was about one of the princesses. Yep. They're always doing illegal stuff. They can get away with anything because they're royalty. Do I believe all this? Yeah, now the school's put an anti-bullying policy that they don't enforce. Well, I need to eat something, so I shall try to be here for CR intro at least. Yes, and I'm gonna order food. My son has all sorts of stories of stopping bullies in school because the teachers won't do anything. Haka, that's terrible. I was bullied so much for my buck teeth overshot that I learned not to exist, staying hidden behind books, had no friends because I didn't trust anyone. Yeah, Chromatic, and I totally get the ways in which, like, I think, okay, I'm gonna say a thing that is probably not fair, right? Like, I get that what I'm about to say is not fair. But it is also like my initial instinct. Like, I'm not gonna do anything about it, do you know what I mean? But it's my initial instinct. When somebody tells me, oh, I loved high school. I had the best time in high school. High school was the greatest time. My first instinct is not to trust them. And I know that's probably not fair. It's just that when let's just note, most of the people here, high school was not the best time in their life. Even Javai was like, it was fine. Do you know what I mean? Javai's not like, it was the best I've ever had, high school. Javai's like, it's okay. And whenever somebody's like, it was the best thing ever, I always just unless they tell me they went to a Waldorf school with 5 people or something, I tend to just be a little suspicious of somebody. That's like my gut instinct. I always think, were they a bully? Was that why they had so much fun in high school? It's just one of those moments that it's like a little instinctive, I don't harm people or discriminate against anybody or anything like that. It's just one of those things that I get nervous about. High school was okay, better than middle school. Oh, Tofgir, middle school was the worst. Middle school was way worse than high school because you even had less autonomy in middle school because you were 13, 12, 11. There was not a lot you can do in middle school. Middle school was bad. Middle school was bad. If you peaked in high school, that says something about you and it's not good. Middle school was really awful. I miss some parts, but overall I think other places are better. Yeah, I had some good teachers, some good teachers. Tofgir, middle school was awful. Middle school was, that was worse than high school for me. That was bad. I did not like it. Also because you really had no choice in anything you were doing in middle school. Yeah. I think I was fortunate in mid. I had a great time during middle and high school, C Spider says. I have no friends remaining from that time. I was good at sports. I had good grades. Teachers loved me. I never felt like it, but thinking back, I was a freaking nightmare. High school marching band was one of the highlights of my life, but that was different. Yeah, you find places, I could find, I wanted to come back to that thing. Beetle Winds that you said about how you'd wish that you'd known that there was that safe space. And I think that's one of the difficult things about safe spaces. Is that some safe spaces, they keep themselves safe by not being known, but then that means the people who need it can't find it, right? If the people who are harassers and bullies can't find it, that sometimes means that people who need it also can't find it. And that's like really tough. So how do you deal with that? Because that's not great, right? That's not great. It must have sucked. Well, you know what? See, Spider, here's my counter. Princess Leia. There was this one girl in the last high school I went to that also was not, like, the high school was not a great experience. And she was popular. I think she might have also been a cheerleader. And she was smart. She had good grades. I think she was a cheerleader. She also won Homecoming Princess, and I think they only voted her Homecoming Princess and not Homecoming Queen because her name was Leia, so then she'd be Princess Leia, and we'd all think that was awesome. And she was legit one of the nicest people I ever knew, and a lot of the popular kids were bullies and mean, but she was so kind. She was so nice. She was never mean to me or any of the other weirdos, and I only have good things to say about her. And I've seen her on Facebook, and she's like, I just found her on Facebook, and she's like still super legit cool. So like, maybe, see, Spider, you were one of the cool ones. Like, they did exist. Just saying. Like, I miss some of the teachers in the small classes compared to uni lectures, at least, and the social interactions it brought, limited as they might have been for me. But it was far from the highlight of my life, and I'm only 25 years old. Fair. Hawkeye says, between swing choir and being a class brain, I survived and had friends. Then again, such a small school, and 75% of the people who are graduating class knew each other from kindergarten. Yeah, it's also, are you at a small school or a big school? Do you have a space to like reinvent yourself or not? Like, there are a lot of different elements that sort of go into what that experience might be like. And that's kind of the thing. Like, I've always tried to be good, but I definitely had some memories that in hindsight, yikes. Yeah, like I had a middle school one that I was like, ooh, no, it's not great. When I was young, everyone said I was a prodigy, like with magic. I studied in the castle with the princesses. They were all jealous of me though, because I was so talented. I tried for the academy when I was still a kid, took the entrance exam and everything. The proctor told me my exam was flawless too when I handed it in. But then later, when I got the official results, my score was terrible. But then I looked at the answers on my exam, and it wasn't even my handwriting. They switched my exam on purpose. Yup. It was totally corrupt. The queen bought my score for one of the princesses. I guess she wasn't too smart either, based on her exam. So I never got into the academy. Crazy, huh? Do we believe her? Do we believe her? Do we believe her? Oh. Do we believe her? Also, I feel like I'm missing all parts of this building. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a little bit worried that I'm missing rooms. That is a worry that I have, but it's fine. Do we have a truth spell? We don't. I wish we did. I had some really good memories, but I also had some really bad memories from high school. I do also think high school culture is fairly different in Sweden compared to the USA. I think that's true. Not to mention individual states, so always feel a tad off calling it high school for me, like it is the same education level, but so different at the same time. Yeah. No, I think that's actually very true, Javai. Like, I know that the German high school system is... Oh, Rissa. I do have a map. Yes. Rissa. This is why you're awesome. Because I do have a map. Yeah, no, that's true. Because I know that in Germany, they at least in Bavaria when I was living there, they segregated the students at around like age 12 or whatever. Because they didn't there's a thing that was like a new thing that they started, but it wasn't happening in Bavaria where I live, called the Gesamtschule, where the students would all like basically stay in the same school together and then they'd split off a little bit later. But when I lived in Bavaria, and also Bavaria's a more conservative state, like you took a test when you're like 10 or 12, and then they parse you out into different schools, like the school for smart people and then the school for people who are going to be working in a factory, right? And so they split the school to 3, and I imagine that's a very different experience if you're in like the Hauptschule for the kids who are going to be working in factories, or the Realschule for the kids who are going to be secretaries, or the Gymnasium for the kids who are going to university. And also this also parsed out by class as well. Surprise, surprise. So like I imagine that experience would be very different than the American high school system, because we only have one high school system, but there's a difference between if you go to a rich school or a poor school, or a public school or a private school, Catholic school or home school. Like they're like different, like, so I think a lot of your experience in the US will depend on where you went to school and what kind of high school it is, although the high schools themselves are all pretty much the same. Yeah. I'm pretty sure Rissa is awesome for many reasons. That's true. This is true. This is fair. Like, for one, U.S. high schools tend to have much more of a competitive school spirit. Like, there are some minor school rivalries here, but nothing on the level I have the feeling it is in the USA. Yeah. There's also another thing that's really interesting, Javai, that makes a difference, that has to do with sports. Barentor says, I was eager to get out of high school and into the military. Unfortunately, some of the military experience was the same. I think that's because of the age group of my peers, yeah. So, Javai, what's really interesting that I felt like, for me, it was interesting for me, I thought was actually very cool when I lived in Germany and I experienced this particular difference. In Mexico, elementary 6 grades, middle school 3 grades, high school 3 grades, and each one is a different building. Yeah, in the US, there are a couple of differences. Elementary school is either K through 5, so 6 grades, or K through 6, depending on where you're at. And then we have either middle school, which tends to be 6 through 8, 3, or junior high, which is sometimes 7 and 8, only 2, and then we have high school, which is 4. And in the US, there's a question of public versus private, in a wealthy neighborhood versus public. My local school system had the Career Enrichment Center, where they taught classes there wasn't demand enough for a single school, but there was demand for across a whole city. There were non-standard languages taught there, like Japanese and Hebrew, as well as a beautician classes and computer programming. Oh, Chrome, that sounds really cool. That sounds really cool. For me, it was kindergarten through 5, 6, 8 in middle, and high school 9, 12. That's what I had as well, Barentor. But I knew there were a couple of places that had junior highs. I think that's true, because I think some junior highs are 6 through 9. Yes, that's also true, yeah. We also don't have school districts. You can go any school you want to afford. Yeah, that's not necessary. And charter schools are a new thing in the US as well. So here's something that I think is interesting for folks who are European and who do not know this, and also for people who are American and also don't know this. Super interesting. So when I moved to, in Germany, I can't speak for other places, sports in school were not that much of a thing. People would go to clubs, right? There are clubs that like you would have, and so people would do their sports in clubs. High school in Sweden is also built around going to different programs, and classes are all the same program. Like, my class was social studies. Some were just plain social studies humanities. Some did social studies with a psychology focus. So you have some freedom in what you studied. I think it has specs. We actually are broad, like, so we want you to be able to sort of do a wide, like, so you're gonna do social studies and humanities and math and science. You're gonna kind of you're gonna do it all, right? So
name game.
Toth Gear. What? The name? Oh, do I have CB? Okay, we have a B. The name game. Come on, everybody. I say now, let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F, or an M will appear. And then I say bow out of B, then I say the name, then banana, fan, or info. Then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Toy Boy Sailor. Whoo. Toy Boy Sailor, Boy Boy Sailor, Banana Fan, Fo Boy Sailor, Fee, Fi, Mo Boy Sailor. Toy Boy Sailor. See Spider. Spider Mix. See Spider Mix. See Spider Mix. See Spider Mix. Will be Spider Mix. Banana Fan, Fo Spider Mix. Fee, Fi, Mo Spider Mix. See Spider Mix. But if the first two letters are ever the same, I drop them both and say the name. Like Bob, Bob drop the B's, Bob, or Fred, Fred drop the F's for red, or Mary, Mary drop the M's, mo airy. That's the only rule that is contrary. Bonsai baby, bonsai baby, bonsai baby, bo bonsai baby, banana fana for bonsai baby, fee fi mo bonsai baby. Bonsai baby, Grimlost, 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 mo Bimlost, banana fana for Fimlost, fee fi mo Mimlost. Grimlost. Thank you for those gift subs, Toph Gear. Nice. That is so nice. Oh, cool. In Sweden, high schools always include some basic education in most subjects, but you always specialize in specific courses. Like I had to take some biology, chemistry, physics class for sure, but far from as many as the people in a science program would take. Oh, see, it's interesting because also a lot of the European high schools are also what we would think of as like the first 2 years of our college. Like, well, if you're going to gymnasium or that kind of level, so it's a little bit different. Oh, so about clubs, this is interesting. In Europe, this is so cool. People often play in clubs, and I have to say this was so cool. This was a thing that's super different in Germany than in the United States, and I think it's really, really neat. So like there are these clubs, and you can join a club to do sports. And I was playing soccer at TSV Ferse, which was like the little neighborhood that I lived in Augsburg, and like each little neighborhood had its own like club, or large neighborhood had its own club, and I played at Ferse, and Ferse had like youth teams, and then they had like adult teams, etc., etc. And okay, look, I just have to tell you, this is so cool. I think it's cool. So here's how the professional sports work. They're professional. So in Germany, let's say soccer, they've got the Bundesliga, right? The first Bundesliga, which is like their big, it's like AAA baseball, Major League Baseball. And then we've got the second Bundesliga, which is like, again, it's like the nation. And then they've got, I think underneath the second Bundesliga, I think, is the Regionalliga, it's the regional leagues. And I think under the regional leagues, they're the state leagues. And then under the state leagues, I believe you have county leagues. And under the county leagues, you have city leagues. My team that I played in was a city league team. And the way it works is all the city league teams will play each other in the city. Then at the end of the season, whoever is the top, whoever finishes first, who wins the city league tournament, then goes and gets to be bumped up, will move up into the county league. And like my team actually was able to, did well enough to be able to sort of be moved up into the county league. And whoever's like the top two, I think, like there's like I think there's some kind of a playoff for the city leagues, and the people who make it, who like, finish like the top two of the people who won the city leagues in the county will go up into the county league, and the bottom two in the county league will go back down will be relegated into the city league. And then it's the same thing, like the people who top the county league can move up to the regional league, and the people at the bottom of the regional league will go down. People who go to the top of the regional league can go to the second Bundesliga, first Bundesliga. So, there's a nationwide. Oh, really? I didn't know that, Wizard Styles. Oh. Can anyone tell me about this interview tonight? Whoa. So, and what's really cool is that, so like in the United States, and this is really interesting, this is a big difference. In the United States, our professional leagues are owned by people. Right, at least this was how it was explained to me, right? So like we have like an owner who owns the team, and that owner, if they want to, they can just move their team to a new city. They're like, you know what? We're gonna go to a new city. They just move their team. But like, the team is not owned by people as far as I understand in Germany. Like it is a city or a county team, and the teams make money usually through memberships. Like, so people like will buy a membership to that club. And so like it belongs to the city, or like that team belongs to that place. And so basically all the teams are the Green Bay Packers in Germany. And so because of the ways in which they have this club system, my understanding is that school sports are not as important in Germany because people are playing in clubs instead, whereas in the United States we don't have that system at all. So like the school sports are how you get into, like, you play sports in high school and you're really good, that might get you a scholarship to go to college so you can then go and play in a professional league, or if it's baseball you just go right into the minor leagues in baseball. So like our high school sports are really, really important because it's how people who are sports people might get scholarships to go to college. So like there's the kind of the economic system makes our sports really intense. So like there are a bunch of things that make our sports really, really intense in the high school level that is not the equivalent in Germany. Promotion rules in the lower leagues get so bizarre because sometimes there's a team getting relegated to the division you'd be promoted from and makes room, sometimes not. Yeah, it's really weird, but I always thought it was very cool that, like, okay, let's just note, there's the fantasy and there's the reality, right? It's sort of like, in the United States, anybody can go from being a shoe shiner to a millionaire. That's the fantasy, it's not necessarily the reality. But in Germany, there's this fantasy that any team can start being a city team and make it all the way up to the Bundesliga. And practically that's not really true. Clubs aren't owned by the cities, but the thing is that more than 50% of the shares need to be held by the club and thus technically controlled by its members. Okay, yeah, so there's a way in which it's like, there are loopholes, unsurprisingly. Yeah, I don't really remember sports clubs really being a thing for me at all until uni at Scotland, at least, which I think they might have a bit more of a sports tradition right in the UK. Yeah, so like there's some kind of like, yeah, there's some, but it's like, so realistically, it is not very likely that a city league team is going to make it up to the Bundesliga. Why is that? Because who's playing at the city league? The people who are playing at the city league are amateurs. I played in my little neighborhood league. I am not the best soccer player in the world. Like, I'm just okay. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not great. I'm okay. I played in college too later. But like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not that great. So like the people who are playing in those little neighborhood leagues are usually like just us. You know what I mean? We're playing together. And if the team itself is really, really good, they might be able to make it up to the next higher level, but it's actually quite expensive. Like, I mean, in the sense that when I say it's expensive, what I mean is, if I'm playing in a city league, when I was playing with Ferze, what kind of travel did we traveled within the city, so like we didn't actually need, like, in terms of travel, it wasn't that expensive. But then if you go to the county league, you need to be able to start traveling among the county, and then like the higher league you up, the more you need to be able to travel, and that costs money and gas and all of that. And what generally happens, if somebody's really good in a neighborhood league, they're going to get snatched up by a higher league. And so what ends up happening is those smaller level leagues end up not themselves as a whole being elevated up. What ends up happening is that the higher leagues will poach like they're really good players. I mean, it's possible. Like Munich 1860 was a smaller league and moved its way up to the Bundesliga, so that it does happen. But it's if you're at the top, if you're one of in the top league, you just get the best players. You're just like, hey, player in that regional league, you're really good. Why don't you play with us? We're in the Bundesliga, and that player often will just go. So it becomes harder for those lower level leagues to actually. And the thing is, a lower level league is going to be promoted. It's going to be promoted every year that happens, but they often can't stay. Like, it often happens that team gets promoted, and then the next year they get kicked back down again because it's a little bit hard to sustain that. Yeah, I don't really remember sports clubs really being a thing. Yeah. So like that's like and so there's like the fantasy that anybody can, and sometimes teams do, but it's not. You know what I'm saying. Of note is also that society and sports clubs was a big deal at my uni. Like, before I started there had been a big push to expand that area. So there was like 100 plus clubs and societies, not counting sports clubs. I think there's like 50 plus sports clubs as well at the uni. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, and I think in terms of, it's tricky because I think that depending on where you're at, university sports is often where Olympics happen. What I mean by that is, for Olympic sports that are not, where there's not really a professional outlet, fencing, crew, right? Like, there are a number of sports where the best place for you to be if you maybe want to get into the Olympics is at universities, right? So universities have like a kind of tricky thing, because sometimes it's the universities where you're going to get like, I know that in the US, like gymnastics, most like they go to UCLA gymnastics. There are a couple of colleges that are really like, I think Stanford is really big for swimming. Maybe track, like there are certain places where if you want to be really good at crew, you go to certain universities. So there's a way in which universities can be a place for people who want to be Olympic hopefuls to get training, especially if they're not really rich. Like I suppose if you're really, really rich, you can just, I don't know, get a fencing coach. But many people are not that rich, and so university becomes a space for people who are Olympic hopefuls to do training as well. So that's interesting. Shh, hey, please don't say that out loud. I don't want to get in trouble. Don't sweat it. A criminal record's like a badge of honor. Well, to me anyway. I won't tell anyone your cool secret. Random story. My club was effectively controlled by a billionaire chairman recently. Ooh. Clemens Tonius, a name worth... I know the name. I know the last name, because he made his wealth in the meat industry, which is not known for taking care of its workers too well. He did it so badly that the working conditions for his meat factories led to 1,500 infected workers. There were massive fan protests and he had to resign. Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh, you know what's another what I think is really fascinating is that the ways in which inequality works in different systems, because there's inequality in all systems. It's just that it works very differently. And one of the things I notice as being different between the ways in which sometimes economics sort of end up putting pressure on people is that the people I know who played, like, so first off, all of us who played in Fairze, we all had jobs, right? We were all full-time. We had full-time jobs. We just played on the end. And most people I know who played in also county leagues also had full-time jobs. But once you get to a certain level, all of a sudden, you don't have to have a full-time job anymore because there are sponsorships and they will, you can work in their sports store, but you don't actually work, you just practice. And then at some point, so there's a way in which there's a certain level where there are people who get to just practice all the time and they don't have to do other jobs. And those teams are just going to be more successful than the teams where the people have to work full time, you know? So like there are, you know what I mean? You know what I mean. And then also some teams make a whole lot of money with merch. Bayern München, the big team, the big team, Bavarian Munich's a big team. They make a lot of money. It's a club team. It's a club team like any other club team, but it's not a club team like any other club team. It's a club team that makes huge amounts of money because they get TV money, and they make all sorts of money from jerseys, and like they clearly, yeah, it's like being a streamer. Well, yeah, right. I mean, yeah, I know a few people that went on to play 3rd or 4th division. They do not get rich, but they make a decent living. And so and of course, women's soccer, it's like, I knew a bunch of really high-level women's soccer players who were like really, really good. I know some people who had played basically in the Bundesliga for women's soccer, and like in the 90s they were not getting paid well. Like they were getting paid, I mean, like they didn't actually have to work. Well, they did work, they technically worked, but they worked in sports shops, and then they didn't actually have to work there. But like they were not paid well, and a number of them, like in like the second league down, which I think was the regional league at the time, they didn't get paid, right? So like yeah. And they still don't get paid well comparatively, yeah. And it was like, do not start me on a rant about women's soccer and pay. Oh, Ava, please, I'm going to start you on this rant, because I remember here, these women are amazing. We've got these women are amazing soccer players. They're so good, and then they're not getting paid. And here's the thing that I will say about women's soccer in the U.S. They're like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. But here's the rant. Women's soccer makes more money than men's soccer, but the male players get paid more. How does it make any fucking sense? Yeah, women's soccer in the United States makes more money than men's soccer. Also, the U.S. women's soccer team is way better than men's U.S. soccer team. I'm just going to note it. Like, our U.S. men's soccer team is but our women's U.S. soccer team is really, really good. It's really good. To start, the women's national team won the World Cup while suing for higher pay. Yes, and there's and also there, at one point in time they made the women play on AstroTurf, which ruined their knees, but they didn't make the men play on AstroTurf. They made a nice lawn for the men so that they wouldn't hurt themselves, but the women they're here, just play on. I was like, really? The men's team didn't even make it to the World Cup last time. Nope. Oh, but I also feel bad for like the Japanese World Cup and also like Japan and Brazil. Their women's teams, national teams, really were not treated well at all, and like Japan like gave them very little support, but then they won, and good for them, and I was so glad they won. I know they beat the US, but I didn't care. Like the Japanese world team, they won the World Cup, they won the World Cup right after the tsunami and the reactor, and they were like, they were not like, they had such great teamwork. I was so happy that they beat us, the US. Look, I'm all about the U.S. national team, but like Japan, they had no support. They had just finished this big disaster, and they did such a good job. Like I was so happy for them. You know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, by the way, just say something in chat in the next 5 minutes, and then we will do our giveaway for Okami, the adventure game, and I will give it to you. Men get paid when they lose, women don't. Yeah, I mean it's just. And the thing is, women's soccer is really good. I love women's soccer. Women's soccer is really good. It's really good. Note, this is all USA centric. I don't know about other countries. Well, I do know that, I lived in Germany, right? And I know that the Germans, back when I was in Germany, which was the 90s, they were not paid well. It was bad. It was embarrassing. And I know that Italy, that a lot of the national team, the women's national teams that were very good, specifically Italy, Japan, and Brazil were also not treated very well by their FIFA organizations, even though they were very good teams. And so like I know it's like there's been some trouble about that. Yeah. Intimation, fuck cannibalism, yeah. Trying to get my PayPal and Twitch to talk so I can subscribe. Oh! Ooh! PayPal, Twitch. Women's football in the UK is super underfunded too. Yeah, and like the UK women's national team is also very good. Like they're always up in there. Shavai says, to be honest, actually Sweden is really good too. The Swedish women's team is very good. They're very good. To be honest, it bugs me quite a bit at times that it is X team and X women's team when it should be women's team and when it should be the women's team and the other one. Yeah, like I try to say the men's World Cup and the women's World Cup because it's not cool to be like the World Cup and the women's World Cup. No. If we're gonna put an adjective, put adjectives on both of them. Yes. In Europe, women's soccer definitely brings in a lot less money than men, so that's different here. That's true, Wizard Styles, that's true. And it's hard. It's hard because some of it is, and I'm gonna say this, I don't mean to offend people, but I did live in Germany for 5 years and I did see it. Some of it is that, Europe is also sexist. And I know that people want to imagine that Europe is like, in the United States, we want to imagine that Europe is like perfect and like has no sexism. But Europe also has sexism. Just gonna note it. Like, I know that it is shocking. Thank you, Rissa. Also in Europe, the men's teams are actually good. Well, the women's curling team. Yeah, I'm just saying that, like, there is also like, I know the Scandinavian countries are actually pretty good when it comes to sexism. Like, Sweden is I hear, really quite good when it comes to, like, gender equality. But, there's sexism in Europe. Just gonna note it. Like, and that's rough. Oh, hey. Also, you know what I think is also interesting that I think also probably impacts this a little bit? That's a theory. Soccer is like the national sport in most European countries. Like it's the sport where those countries hang their national identity, and like, in the UK, football hooligans will punch you in the face, and like it becomes it's a really important space for national pride and kind of in a macho way. Like soccer is often seen as kind of macho in the UK, in the Europe, in a way that it's not in the US. In the US, people, and this is so weird, people who don't understand, who don't know the US, who are outside of the US, may be surprised by this. But in the US, soccer is kind of seen as kind of like a rich sport that is a little bit effeminate by people who are that way. Like a man's sport is football. Like American football is a man's sport. Like it's American football, baseball, and hockey and basketball are like our core big sports, and soccer not so much. And so I think that because we're less invested in soccer as like a way to prove our national manliness, that we're actually a little bit more open to the women's team, to like giving support to that women's team. Whereas I was talking to these Italian soldiers and they said some really unkind things about women's soccer, and it was like basically women shouldn't be playing soccer because that's a man's sport, and like it's like the Italian pride and like so like there's some like weirdness about there's some weirdness about I think sort of machismo and national identity and nationalism that sometimes I think hurt women's teams in countries where soccer is really popular, whereas it's just not that popular in the United States. Yeah. Jabai says, I would say that Sweden in general is pretty good compared to many places, although getting worse, in my opinion. Oh, but it's far from equal. Like, better than most, but it's still pretty bad. That's fair, Jabai, yeah. But there is that shitty argument for not investing in women's soccer because people aren't watching it as much and the standard of play is lower, but if more women could do it full time because investments, that would change. That's true. Wizard says I've thought about that as well. Now I live in Seattle where soccer pride is very strong. Only reason the Seahawks got a stadium is because of soccer fans. Jabai says, I would say in Sweden ice hockey is the macho sport. Oh, soccer is still the big one, but if you want proper macho, hockey's where to go. Yeah, and also like in the UK it's soccer but also rugby, so that there's often maybe like two macho sports. The Sounders crowds actually hold the record number of butts in the seats of the stadium. Yes. Hawkeye says, the biggest problem with women's sports in the US is that everybody wants it, but they don't support it financially, yeah. Even women spend money towards the NBA rather than the WNBA. Yeah, that's true. What is this, Trevor, playing a game? No, just has it open. No, I'm totally playing it, Walpus. I totally am. There was something I wanted to say about macho-ness in sports, maybe? Was it Sweden investing? Oh, Wizard says, I know what I wanted to tell you. I'm not sure about rugby. It looks macho, but it really isn't, to be honest. That's fair. England is mostly soccer, but also rugby and other things depending on class to an extent, yeah. I've talked to 6 people today, I've done it, right? There was a thing though, and it was about, yes, I'm gonna say this. This is my opinion, and people can disagree with me, right? So disagree all you like, and that is fair. And if you disagree, because this is about my preference, so this is a preference thing, it's like not right or wrong, right? In my eyes, the Swedish Democrats, while primarily racist, are also pretty against queer identities and promoting old gender. Yeah, that's true. So as they grow stuff, it gets worse all over, even if the racism is worse. Yeah. A friend of mine is an ethnomusicologist, and he goes to Sweden every summer, and he does field work there, and he works on Swedish folk music, but he also sort of writes about the Swedish Democrats and nationalism and folk music and things like that. So it's very interesting. So this is what I want to say. In my opinion, for me, and I'm going to go into our drawing pretty soon, other parts of the UK can be very different. Ireland is a bunch of national sports nobody outside of Ireland understands and very little competitive soccer. Yeah. Irish. There's yes, there are a couple sports. Anyway, so I like women's soccer better than men's soccer. Racism is kind of a problem throughout Scandinavia. The socialism comes with a degree of national ethnicism, yeah. So I like women's soccer better than men's soccer, and I will tell you why I like it. So now, for some context, when I was living in Germany, it was the time of Jürgen Klinsmann and Lothar Matthäus, like some really big German stars. Like there's some big German stars. But the women's German team was like really good. The women's national team was very good. For me, the reason why I like women's soccer more than men's soccer is that I find that men's soccer often, not always, but often, it's one of the reasons why also when it comes to men's soccer, I tend to like college men's soccer better than sort of like the professional. It's that the men's soccer teams tend to have like one big ego star or 2 or 3 big ego stars that are like the center and everybody else seems less important, and it's like all about them, and they often sort of hog the ball and they don't share as much. It's like really like very centered on these kind of like big names. But I find that women's soccer, they tend to share the ball more, and I tend to like the way they set up moving the ball on the field. Like I tend to find that the tactics are a little bit more interesting to me because they share in the same way that I tend to like college basketball better than the NBA, because the NBA is often about the big star, and like I find like the team a little bit more interesting to me than like the big star and some other people. You know, that's just like that's me. I would say the racism is a bit different here compared to the USA, but it's still ever sure. Yeah. Didn't a group of businesswomen bound together to fund U.S. soccer? They did. Gaelic football? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course, I mean, like, there is racism in Sweden. Like, that is, I mean, like, what's that guy's name? What's the, not basketball anymore. Well, you know, I mean, you know, it's just, I just like a particularly more, I just a bit more team oriented. I like my team sports a little bit more team oriented. What was that guy's name? I take your opinion. What's his name? He was the guy, Breivik Anders, right? Breivik Anders, who just murdered a bunch of people because he was anti-Muslim, right? Like, and there are a bunch of neo-Nazi parties that are raising in popularity in Europe, and I mean, racism is different in each place, but like, I'll tell you what, it's not great to be Jewish in Sweden or Muslim in Sweden. Like, oh my gosh. But also, where was it? I think Sweden has got some black, oh, he was Norwegian, thank you. Yeah, he was Norway, yes. I think Sweden has got some black soccer players, and they went to, was it Italy, and got treated super racistly? Like, so like, you know. No, you're right, he was Norway. Mm-hmm. Is this your first time in Mohabumi? How do you like it? Well, it's pretty big. Feeling overwhelmed? I guess since we can fly and walk on walls and stuff, it doesn't feel so big to us. Walk on walls. But it must be shocking if you don't have magic. Ooh. When you get a chance, you've got to check out the crater. It's a theater in the upper area of the city. All the coolest acts come through there. I hear there's a band from across the ocean. Ooh. Yeah, and I gotta tell you. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna do our drawing for our winner. Our winner for Okami. Who is our winner, Nightbot? For Hawkeye. Hey, Hawkeye. You are our winner for the game Okami. Oh, good. Oh, cool. You should join us. Hawkeye, I'm gonna message you. I'm gonna whisper you the code. All right, fine, Hawkeye. I will. I'm gonna do it. Nightbot, who is it? Wizard Styles. It's one of our new people. Wizard Styles. Yes. Okay. First off, I'm enjoying our conversations. So, Wizard Styles, I'm going to send you a code for the game Okami. Yes, I'm whispering you right now this code. It's an email. It's a URL. So go to the URL and it'll give you a code for Steam, and then you can activate it on Steam. Yes. That makes me so happy. I love giving people stuff. It makes me happy. Mm-hmm. In Sweden, when discussing racism, you also need to consider our history is different from USA, yes, which is kind of seen as a model racism in a sense. Although I don't think it should, because it's not like we didn't come from Europe. We did, not all of us, some of us are stolen from other places. Especially consider the Sami, our native population, yes. Although I rarely see that area discussed, despite how important it actually is, yes. No, they aren't. And also, I mean, so what's interesting, Javai, about European, it's tricky depending on also where in Europe you live, is there are a couple of different issues, right? So the United States is a settler colonialist nation. A number of European nations had colonies, and so that impacts how racism works. Like, I mean, the Belgian Congo was a problem. Do you know what I mean? Like, Belgium has had some problems with racism, but like having colonies sort of changes things a little bit. But also there are different narratives about diversity, many of which are also lies, but like there are different narratives, there are different stories about diversity. Like the idea that Sweden only has one race is just also not true because you have the Sami. And also, oh, yes, Thank you, Wizard Styles. Tell me if you like it. Right, so like Sweden, like a lot of European countries imagine themselves as like monoracial, but they're not. Like that's actually just not true and has really never been. Or they're not even mono-ethnic, right? There's actually, right, because these things are very complicated. And so like thinking about the ways in which these things work out differently becomes really interesting. Yeah, I mean, the USA shouldn't be the model, as Europe was often equally as bad, if not worse. Just meant in a populist. Yeah, no, I think that's true. But I also think it's convenient, right? Like, I think it's really convenient. This happens a lot. I think that there's a lot of scapegoating that happens where Europe will scapegoat the United States for a lot of things. And look, I'm not saying the United States is great. That is not what I'm saying. It's not what I'm saying. It's not what I'm saying. But there's a lot of, United States is racist, not here in Europe. And I was like, ooh, I lived in Europe. That's not true. Or the United States has got trashy food. We don't in Europe. And I was like, ooh, you also have trashy food. The United States has trashy media, not like us in Europe. I was like, oh, hey, you also have trashy media. Like, there's like an interesting way in which the United States can be the other, right? Can be the other for Europe in this interesting way, and then the Europe can be the other for us. Like, there's a really interesting relationship I find between the United States and Europe that was like really fascinating to me. But also, when I lived in Germany from 1992 to 1995. We're not racist in Europe. Oh, really? Is that why you keep banning refugees and migrants? Well, that's totally different. We could claim we learned it from Europe, but he who is out sin should cast the first stone. Yeah, totally, Hawkeye. And then I also think about the ways in which, like, we do weird things with Europe as well. Like, we like to imagine Europe is also monoracial in weird ways. That is also not true. For like it's weird. There's weird relationships between the places. But also, when I lived in Germany, can I tell you what I thought was really weird for me? I lived in Germany from 92 to 97. And when I lived in Germany, do you know what I saw a lot of in Europe? People saying things about Germans that I did not think were appropriate. There was a lot of scapegoating Germany when I lived in Europe in the 90s. This is something like how we'd like to say Japan. Yeah. That's right, Carolyn. Like, when I lived in Germany in the 90s, there was a lot of stuff going on about how Germans were, like, people would just say things like there were headlines in European countries, things like in like Italy, France, all these places, like, Germans are all Nazis. And I was like, whoa, like headlines in the newspaper, just like calling all Germans Nazis, which seemed very inappropriate to me, especially since Angelina Mussolini was in the Italian parliament. You had like Le Pen was running around in France. Like, it's not like there aren't neo-Nazis in other European countries, but there was this sort of way in which Germany was framed as like the place, including Austrians were doing it. Austrians were like, yeah, they're the ones with the Nazis. It was like, Austria. I had an Austrian friend of mine say to me, Austria, where Hitler comes from, say to me that Germans were genetically predisposed to fascism. And I was like, wow, Austrian. It was like, there was like a lot of like really weird, really strange projections, and then everybody else was basically innocent during World War II. And I was like, Vichy? Like, I was like, ooh, hold on. It was a very weird, it was very strange. It was very, very strange. And the thing is, it was also just, it was just like also very harsh. Like, basically anti-German slurs were being used, or like anti-German ethnic, like, you know, nationalist, anti-nationalist, anti-ethnic slurs, like, were being used in newspapers in a way that like that's not like, ooh, like, where do you, ooh, you know what I mean? Like, I remember it was the UEFA Cup, Germany versus England, and the Daily Mail put like Hitler mustaches on Jurgen Klinsmann, and like they put Hitler mustaches like and I was like, oh, like. And I talked to my German friends. I was like, hey, this seems super inappropriate. And they were just like, well, you know. And I just like, I was like, ooh, it made me feel super uncomfortable. Like, it just made me feel really uncomfortable is all I'm trying to say. It's like how we complain real loud about how the U.S. treats Mexican migrants, but we do the exact same thing to our southern border and treat Mexican Americans the same way. Right? Wizard Style says, we also like to pretend that race doesn't exist in Europe. Like the German word for race is generally purely used in a biological sense, and rightfully condemned because there are no biological human races, of course. But this gets in the way of discussing race as part of social reality, Gervais says, I'm a bit disappointed looking back at my high school education in social studies. Like, my teacher was real good and pointed out how a lot of Sweden was far from perfect, like our part in the slave trade or the nastier parts of our history that often get skipped over here to promote a nice picture of Sweden as a neutral country. Like, we treat everyone equal, but don't think she ever really discussed the Sami, despite it being important, and we even have policies around them, Austria, the country that can't decide if it's German or Swiss, I'm pretty sure my master's program, says Gervais, will be starting in the history of religion and will have the option to take courses about Sami, Finnish, and Slavic religions and mythologies, thinking about taking that rather than Norse mythology or something else. Oh, maybe take both if you can, because that would be really interesting. Germany might not be perfect, but I'm not sure any nation has really confronted its race history the way Germany has. Yeah, not to be accused with Belgium, is it French or German? Yeah, and it's really interesting to me to think about Germany paid reparations, and like Germany's not perfect either, right? Do you know what I mean? Like Germany's not perfect. I lived there; it wasn't perfect. I have never been fetishized more than I have been in Germany, and being fetishized is gross. But like all countries, the United States has problems, Canada has problems, Mexico's had problems, like we all have had problems, and it's just interesting to me who it's okay to talk smack about and who it isn't. And oh, you don't have the option to take both? Oh, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. Yeah, and I just was like, I when I lived in Germany, I felt bad. Do you know what I mean? Like, I felt bad. And look, again, Germany is not perfect, right? I'm not saying it is. But I felt bad about how everybody else at the time, and remember, this is the 90s, so the 90s was kind of a complicated time in Europe. I do not currently live in Europe, so I cannot speak to some of the details there. Although there are Black Lives Matter protests happening all over Europe, so that's interesting. But, I mean, so I lived in Germany in the 90s, and the 90s was a particularly tricky time because there was like a big rise of neo-Nazism in the 90s all across Europe, and like sort of like ethno-nationalism. There was like a bunch of that in the 90s. So it was a particularly kind of tricky time. And it's, of course, like the Cold War stuff was happening in like slightly different ways. But it just made me feel uncomfortable at how the UK is perfect. We have never done anything wrong, and Britain is a racial paradise. It was like, okay, I'm back. Had to beat my internet for a minute. I'm glad that it looks like I've not been dropping any frames, though, because I was a little bit worried about my internet. Yeah, I was there shortly after reunification. Yeah, I came right after reunification, and I was there for a lot of the reunification problems, and there were reunification problems. Like, of course, you of course there would be when you have two completely different, separate countries with completely separate governmental systems being sort of brought together and not on equal footing, right? That was the problem that East Germany felt kind of screwed over. There are a bunch of things there were a bunch of rights they had in East Germany that they did not have in West Germany, and then people lost those rights in East Germany. And there was that reunification, like, it was always going to be difficult, you know what I mean? But like, that was a little tough. My American mother lives there with my stepmom. Some of the things I hear are shocking, not all surprising. I do have plans for dinner. Grab up some stuff. Okay, it seems like we all have some basic stuff about the religions from around here, so all of them. It looks like you'll have to pick one option to focus on. Oh, okay. Yeah, I just I thought a lot about I think for me, and look, the United States is racist, but until recently, until the most recent administration, people didn't seem to put kind of like, I would be shocked if we called German Krauts in our newspaper, like if the New York Times put a Hitler mustache and Jürgen Klinsmann and called them Krauts. Like, that is not a thing that I would really be shocked if that happened, because I'm not saying we're not racist, but like, we often just don't put that in our newspaper headlines. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's often kind of not, like, we don't, like, that's like, ooh, don't do that. You know what I mean? Like that, like, ooh. And just to see it happen so often when I lived in Europe was really surprising to me, and I'm not German, but it kind of made me really sad. The repressed undercurrent racism has been suppressed up until this president. Yes, I'm not saying we didn't have it. I'm just saying that, like, generally speaking, like, I think post-civil rights era, we kind of just knew not to put it in the newspaper so openly. Like, we were really good at microaggressions and being super racist on the down low in various ways, being more subtle about it. In newspapers, like, we would do things like darken, what's his face? O.J. Simpson's face to make him look blacker, because to make him look more sinister. Like, we would do things like that. Like, I'm not saying we're great, but like that kind of a thing, I was like, ooh, like that surprised me. That surprised me a little bit. No, they would only do that to American politicians, yeah. Like, Nixon and Reagan had their racism in code. Like, yeah, they talked it in code. Like, we have dog whistles for a reason. Trump's just out here saying rich white suburbanites don't want to live next to black people. Yeah, right? Like, and so, like, for me, like, just seeing it out that blatant was really surprising to me. I was like, ooh. I did love studying Norse mythology in my undergraduate education, but kind of excited about the prospect of studying the lesser-known mythologies from here as well. Like, I have some basic ideas about Slavic stuff, but Finnish and Sami are kind of blank spots for me. And I bet you would learn a lot from that and be really cool. Yeah, so it's just, and I think that, like, how we do racism is actually quite different very often. Like, how does it manifest? What does that look like? Also, ethnocentrism, how does that manifest? Also, classism, how classism works in the UK is different from here. We both have it, but it's different. How it works in Germany is different. We all have it, but how does it manifest? But to be fair, I think open racism is actually easier to fight. Yeah. I think that's true. Sometimes it's really distressing because sometimes open racism is violence, and that's not great. You know what I mean? Like, when they just sort of like throw out some violence on you, that's not the best thing. And we've reached the point in our society where that open racism scares off more white folks than attracts. Yeah. I think about, for example, there's a big scandal I talked about on Discord and Music Theory right now, where some people just said a bunch of really very clear racist things in print in an academic journal directed at a music scholar, a music theorist. Like, a colleague that we all know just said really racist things about him in an academic journal. And the thing is that music theory has always had racism in it. Like, it always has been. And people of color, and also a lot of sexism, and also a lot of, like, homophobia. Like, it's been, like, music theory is, like, the most scientific of the music studies, so it ends up being, like, really harsh in ways. And this problem has always been here, and people would talk about it and be like, it's like so bad, but like no one said it in print, and now people said it in print. They said it in print, and now you have to react to it. You can't pretend like it's not happening. You can't pretend like people are just making it up or being too sensitive, because that's what happens. Like, oh, this person's like being really gross. Like, you're just being too sensitive. It's not really happening. But now you can't pretend like it's not happening, because, like, it's just in your face now. And you know what? People are responding. And I think that we might actually get some change now, because you just can't pretend like somebody's making it up anymore. Because it's just really obvious. You know what I mean? Yeah, but music theory basically worships old dead German men of a certain time period. Like, a very narrow time period. Like, it's, yeah. Jabai says, well, I think it's Baltic rather than Slavic. Double checking it. Slavic sounded a bit off in my head, but I must have mixed it up when I include. Yeah. And so, like, yeah. So I think in some ways it's awful. Can I tell you? I'm sorry. I want to tell you this thing. I know we're getting close to 9, and I have to listen to this woman, but I have to tell you all something. This is really important. I hope you feel good about yourselves. I'm going to say something that might make you all feel good about yourselves. Are you ready? Are you ready for this one? I hope you're ready. I have, as you all know, multiple Twitter accounts. I have this of the late and early 19th. Yes, that's it. Like, it's basically from 1750 to 1912. That's it. So I have multiple Twitter accounts, right? I have this Twitter, my academic foxhole, which is my Twitter account for my gaming life, which is where I love my life here. I have an academic Twitter, which I don't post on too much. I post on here and there. That was my first one. Like I had that one first. And then like I have this, like, my Shadowrun Twitter account, and yeah. So anyway, Philip Ewell, the music theorist who was attacked viciously and in a super racist way, he posted this thing on my academic Twitter. He just said something. He just sort of said that basically he was supposed to go to the University of North Texas, where this journal was, where they attacked him viciously with a bunch of racism, including an anonymous post, that he was supposed to go there to give a talk, and he withdrew because he was like, I don't feel comfortable going to this, going there after what happened, including not even asking me to respond, anything like that. So he said that he wasn't going, and I said, I support you. That's all I said. And I got trolled. People made burner accounts, and basically, like, insulted me, trolled me, called me like loser, scumbag, or whatever, a bad person. Usually just like 3 or 4 words worth of trolling. And there was a little bit more trolling. And so here's what I thought was really interesting. I exist primarily on gaming Twitter, right? So like RPG Twitter, gaming Twitter, like fandom Twitter. And people and gamers are notoriously horrible, gross people. Like, you look at Twitter discourse right now, like, gamers, they're the worst. I'm gonna tell you what, I have posted a bunch of threads, some of which could be thought of as controversial. I don't really think they are. But for some people they could be. And I will tell you what, I have not gotten much trolling. Maybe I'm just lucky, I don't know. Maybe it's because you cannot DM me unless I follow you. I don't know what it is. But I've gotten like a little bit, a light smattering of trolling here or there, but very little. Like, and Krellin has been here, and Jer's been here too. I've had very little trolling here on Twitch either. Like, there was that one guy that was asking if I was going to sell him drugs, like whatever. But like, generally speaking, for the most part, it's been really chill here. And I got trolled on my account, which is almost completely full of academics, about a music theory thing. And I just feel like I want to note that, like, what's the word? Proportionally, more trolling there, right? On my academic Twitter, full of academics, than in my gaming site, full of gamers. I'm just gonna note it. So, music theorists need to be embarrassed and ashamed of themselves. That's what I'm gonna say, right? If you're behaving worse than like gamer gators, maybe you need to think about it. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? So that's it. That's all I'm gonna say. And like, really weird. Like, and of course, Philip has been getting trolled. Poor Philip. He's been getting lots and lots of trolls. People saying like, you shouldn't be saying that, like, you shouldn't say that Shanker is racist because people will lose their jobs. Shame on you. Who are you? You're so terrible. Like, all this stuff. Hey, I control you whenever I can, Tripper. Yeah, like, it was just like, I was like, whoa. And the thing is, and let's be real up front, who is writing these trolling things? They're also all burner accounts. It's very obvious. Who's writing them? Clearly music theorists, because that's all who cares about Shanker. It's not like rando people are paying attention to Shanker discourse on Twitter. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Considering how open and political threads are, they're probably controversial for that alone. A lot of gamers, especially streamers, are afraid of saying anything even resembling political in public, political being a very vague term. Yeah, I try to do it in a kind way, but like, I don't get trolled on Twitter nearly as much. Krellin says, so I know this is fraught, but studies actually were done following that big snafu in 2014, and it showed that gaming was no more offensive than any other industry. Oh, Krellin, I don't doubt you at all. I think that's probably true. To finish Krellin's thought, like, journalists get a lot of hate, but to be fair, like, half of that is just Piers Morgan. Yeah, I actually think, I think that gaming, it's the same thing with RPGs. Somebody was going on about like how like racist RPGs are, and I was like, and like somebody was like, maybe I should leave RPGs to do something else. I was like, where are you gonna go? Like, where are you going to go where you're not going to find sexism, racism, regionalism, all that stuff? Like, I mean, are you going to go into, like, where are you going to go? Like, I actually don't think that gaming is worse than other places. I think that there are it might manifest differently because we're a bit more online, but you know, I mean, like, there are a lot, like, sports teams can be bad, like, a lot of things can be bad is all I'm saying, you know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. A lot of things can be bad. I think we're not, basically, I don't think we're special. I think we might manifest in slightly different ways, but I don't think we're special. That's all. So we have to troll more. I was on the phone for 2 hours. Ooh, I hope your phone call went okay. Academia does not like to have its boat rocked. It doesn't. Like, I don't think that academia is better than gamers. That's all I'm saying, you know? Like, I really don't. Eva says, it might be that you've created your gamer circle better than your academic circle because you thought you were safe there. Ava, I actually don't think so, because I get a lot more in, like, my gaming account has, I've had a number of gaming Twitter tweets that have gone viral in the way that my academic tweets have not gone viral. Do you know what I mean? And so, and I don't even, like, so I feel like there's more of a chance that I'd get more, like, I am surprised that I don't get more trolling on academic Twitter. Like, it really surprises me, but, like, people, for the most part, are, like, pretty chill. Every once in a while, there's, like, a couple of people who are sort of slightly trolly, but, like, for the most part, people have been, like, there have been some disagreements, which is fine. I had a racist troll who was trying to, like, bait me, but he was very, very, civil, and I don't think, and I think I got him in the end, so it was fine. You know, like, I basically showed that his logic wasn't working, and we were fine, and it was okay. But, like, for the most part, like, people, it hasn't been that bad, and, like, I'm getting like some kind of large numbers of views sometimes, and I would just expect more, but it's, like, mostly fine. Journalists get a lot of hate. That'll be, yeah. How dare you challenge academic elites in their views? Yeah, Hawkeye. I think there's something there going on. I think that's quite a bit of it. RPGs aren't racist. Society is racist. But you and RPGs are. So yes, that is exactly right. Like, I mean, I'm sure people who do birding communities are going to notice, like, classism in birding communities. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, yeah. I think gaming might be easier to notice because a lot of the people involved are already very used to the internet and have a presence there. I think that's true too. Yeah. I think the more familiar you are with an industry, the easier it is to see the industry's problems. I think that's true too. Yeah. Also, Beetleman says gods. Fuck Piers Morgan. Yeah. We argue it a lot. Yeah. RPGs, like any activity, are just a subject of the whole population. Subset. Yeah. Yes, I used to wrap up and save. That's true. I had a racist troll, but I talked to him and he understood and we were cool. Well, no, I mean, I don't think he ever, it was this thing where basically there was a guy that was trying to make this case that, and then after I tell you the story, I'm gonna talk to her and then we'll go. It was a guy, and it was this thread. I don't think I even started it. And there was this person who was trying to make this case that he wanted America to be spelled with a K, and that, like, white Americans have their own special unified culture that is distinct, and that white special American culture is under attack by others, and that white Americans who all have the same culture need to stop interracial dating and not dilute the pure whiteness, and it's this whole thing, like, white people are gonna die and, like, go away, the special white culture and all, like, this is a bunch of that kind of stuff. And I was like, and I was like, well, hold on, it's not actually true that there's a unified white culture in the United States. Yeah, right. And I was like, because you cannot tell me that, like, a working class Italian Catholic in Brooklyn has the same culture as a first generation Swedish Protestant who doesn't speak English very well and lives in rural Minnesota, as does the same culture as somebody who's, like, Pentecostal, as somebody who's atheist and rich, as like I just don't actually believe that, like, all the people who fall under whiteness right now, across the vastness of the regions and religious differences, like, we have so much religious diversity, regional diversity, class diversity. I mean, like, you know, like, and also time in country diversity. Yeah, or like a middle-aged white lady geek in California. Like, yeah, that's just not, like, you can't, you know what I mean? Like, that's not, like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't think that's, wait, a single unified white American, are we talking white Texan, California, white, like, what are we talking about, right? Like, I just don't, right? So, fall under whiteness right now is exactly right and shows how ridiculous that statement is, I'm part of the white lady geek culture, so, like, I just don't, like, I was like, I don't think that's true, like, this thing that you're saying is just not really accurate. And so then he says to me, and this was when I got him in the end, this is when I got him, he was like, well, I'm sorry, you aren't white, so you can't speak to white culture. You cannot say what it is because only people with white blood can say what white culture is. And I was like, oh, only people with white blood can say what white culture is. And he's like, yes. And I was like, well, it so happens that, because I was talking about, like, race is a racial construct, right? And he was trying to say that race is not a racial construct, that it's like this real thing. And so he's like, yeah, only people who with white blood, white people, like, only white people can say what white culture is. So you have no room to speak. And I was like, oh, well, I'm half white though. So since I'm half white, that means that I can speak to what white culture is. And then he was like, oh, no, I'm sorry, half white isn't a thing. And I was like, oh, so you're saying that race is a social construct? Oh, and I won. And then he stopped talking because I won. Like, he was trying to argue that race was not a social construct, but then I was like, yeah, I'm half white though. And he's like, and I was like, and that's the thing, like, I'm not gonna get mad at you because I know, like, if you really believe that kind of a thing, your logic is not gonna be sound, and I'm gonna find the hole in your logic, and that's gonna be the moment, you know what I mean? Like, and that's it. Like, I can only speak to half of white culture, just the one half part, like, that's it. And so, like, it was just dumb, but, like, I didn't really think of that as, like, super trolling. I thought of that as like talking to an irritating person, and then that was it. You know what I mean? So I was like, but you can't are as black as nothing else because of the social construct. I was like, yeah, no, doesn't work that way. And the thing is, I felt bad for that guy because that guy probably, like, how to get to that space where he's at, just the left half, but, like, to get to that space where he's at, there's probably not great stuff in his life. Do you know what I mean? Like now, my feeling bad for him has a limit. Like, if you're gonna go and harm people, like, we're kind of done there, but, like, I feel bad for whatever brought him to that space. Ooh, lefties, yes, I'm a lefty. Yes, so which half of white culture is it you have adopted as your half? It's a question. Okay, I need to get food. So I'm gonna go, well, actually, here, let me finish. Hey, can I help you? Wanna buy a potion? I don't have any money. Too bad. My potions are the best. And that's where we're gonna hold it. That's it. Here. Boom. Chat. Hey, chat. I'm gonna go now. Yeah, so anyway, I just think it's really, look, do we have problems in gaming? Yeah, because gaming's part of the world. Like, the whole world has problems. You know what I mean? Like, there's problems with bigotry, all sorts of bigotry all over the place. And I just think that it's really important not to, this kind of goes back to something that Krellin said. I think it's important to not think we're special in our badness. Like, not think that we're so bad. Like, I think that sometimes we can get wrapped up in thinking that we're the worst, but I don't think we're that special. You know what I mean? Yes. Oh, go to sleep, Atomica. I don't think we're that special. I think lots of places has badness in it, but also and I said this is great talk and a little bit of game as usual. Thank you, Spider. And I'm gonna say this one thing, this is really important. Oh, side note, I was talking to my therapist today, and I'm gonna just say this. So I was talking to my therapist today, and she was like, I was talking about, like, some of the kind of gross stuff that was happening in academia right now. And my therapist said to me, do you have a place where you feel a little bit, like, where you feel safer? And you know that place has been the gaming space. And, like, back in the day, the gaming space was not a place where I felt safe. And I understand that people talk about how horrible the gaming space is and, like, blah, 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 and all this and all that. But you know what? The gaming space that I have been in for the last 4 years or so, 4 or 5 years, has been wonderful. Like, all of you all have been really supportive. After George Floyd, do you know what happened after George Floyd? I got a bunch of DMs from you all from people that I game with, from like people that I sit at the table with who like were my fellow players, but also people in my Discord. People DM'd me and asked me if I was okay. My work people did not do that. And I just want to say for the record that people can talk smack about gaming a lot, and there are moments where I get a little bit disheartened by things, but I will say there have been some really great people that I have met, and I think that they're just great things here too. They're really great things, and I'm just going to say that. Yeah, the Foxhole is one of my happy places, and so I'm just going to say that. I just want to say that I think that before we get too caught up and too disheartened and like, oh, gaming spaces are so bad. Actually, you know what? We can curate, to sort of talking about curating that Ava was talking about, we can curate some really great spaces, and I have been so happy for so many of the people that I've run into and have met and have interacted with, and so yeah, so I'm going to just say that we've got our problems, but we also have got some really great people here too. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know why that suddenly clicked with me. I really can't remember who I was talking to with about stat blocks for homebrew. It's driving me nuts. Yeah, I think bad gaming spaces are getting more and more insular while the good ones are flourishing. I actually think that's true too. I think that I actually think we're getting better. And I think there are growing pains in order to get better, but I think we're getting better. And I do, and I know that we can talk about Wizards of the Coast and D&D and all that, but I actually, D&D 5e is better than 3e, and it's better than 1e. D&D as a game has gotten better, and I mean that in terms of power and representation and all that, and nothing is perfect yet, but I do think we're getting better, and there's still some gross people. Even I don't know if you've been noticing, and I'm gonna go. I feel like I'm trying to hunt down the six-fingered man with this damn thing. Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed this, but there's some people who are in. Thank you, Jer. There's some people in the OSR community who are pretty cool. The guy from Zweihander, he seems pretty awesome, and I'm seeing more and more OSR people who are cool. And so I just feel like we're working on it, is all I'm going to say. And I don't be disheartened. So that said, I'm going because I'm going to get some food. If you want, you can follow and subscribe, which I think is down here, or maybe down there. Probably might be down there. I think it's down that way, and no, yeah, I think it's that way. And also you can join us in our Discord where we're chatting. We were just chatting about cyberpunk and what does it mean to revive cyberpunk, and we were thinking about genre. And then also you can see the archive of my shows on YouTube, which is at Trooper SJP. You can find me on Twitter for some of my controversial takes or just random takes, Academic Foxhole. I also have a Patreon, which is under Academic Foxhole, and that is to support the RPGs on the channel to pay the casts. And August is going to be Cthulhu Confidential with Jackie Dash, and then September more City of Light and Shadow. See me at 10 here for Critical Role. I'll be hosting it if you want to hang out with us. Saturday at noon, my channel, The Outer Worlds. Sunday, Origami Shuriken at 8 p.m. 8 p.m., right? Or are we 7? Are we 7 or 8, Origami? 7 or 8? 8, 7, 8, 8, 8. I think it's 8. It's 7. Oh! 7 p.m. I will be guesting over on Ghosts of Saltmaw, and I'm really excited for my return, for my coming back, and that's it for the week. So I'm gonna go get some food. Take care of yourselves. Please know that you're all contributing to a better space, and that's really good, and I appreciate it. And so I will catch you on the flip side, everybody. Oh wait, I should do it. I should probably do the raid, right? Well, hold on. I should probably do the raid, but I need to do that first, or else I will not have access to my cursor. I might be on closer to 8 to gym time, but we shoot for 7. Okay, 7. I got it. Let's raid some people. Oh, hey. Do you know who's on? Do you know who we can raid? Oh, this is so cool. Sorry. N.K. Jemisin, the science fiction author, is playing the Outer Wilds, and we should raid her because N.K. Jemisin is super cool, and we should raid her, and I'm so excited by this. Okay. Oh my gosh. This is our raid command. So let's go raid her and say hello to N.K. Jemisin, who's super cool. I'm so excited. Okay. All right. We're gonna raid M.K. Jemisin, and we're gonna do this. Oh my gosh. Okay, 10 seconds, everybody. Oh my gosh, we're gonna read N.K. Jemisin. All right. Okay. Okay, this is so exciting. All right, we're gonna do it. I will catch you on the flip side, everybody. Say hi to N.K. Jemisin. All right, bye.